Freedom, man. That's what it's all about. You've got to groove on freedom, like the good book says.
Welcome. You are listening to What on Earth is Happening. This show will discuss the topics of human consciousness, mind control, natural law, the occult, and all issues that affect the freedom of the people of Earth. What on Earth is Happening will endeavor to shine light upon the darkness of our world and to offer empowering solutions to the problems we face as humanity approaches its critical moment of choice. And now, here is your host, Mark Passio.
Welcome one and all. You're watching What on Earth is Happening. I'm your host, Mark Passio. My website, whatonearthishappening.com. Ladies and gentlemen, government is slavery. We got a great show lined up for you here today. Today is Sunday, February 3rd, 2019. We're streaming live from whatonearthishappening.com. We're also simulcasting on YouTube, Facebook, and Vimeo Live. Today's show is going to be called the Super Bowl of Knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. Who needs the big game when you have What on Earth is Happening coming at you on Super Bowl Sunday? Listen, we're going to get into the depth of knowledge that is really required to solve the human condition of slavery on today's show. And today's show is all going to be about the A.R.K drive and what it is and what is on it and what it can do for your mind and your consciousness. So that's what's coming up on today's edition of What on Earth is Happening. What on Earth is Happening is live every Sunday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. East Coast time. That is noon to 3 p.m. Pacific time. We'll be taking your calls in the third hour of the show on the Discord app. The link is right there on the show page at whatonearthishappening.com/show. Okay, so before we get into the material for today's show, because there is a whole lot of ground to cover, I want to go through a couple of quick announcements. I'm going to be speaking at Acapulco 2019, the big conference down in Acapulco, Mexico, big anarchist conference being thrown down there. So I'm going to be giving a presentation this year entitled Anarchy and the Occult Part 2. Religion versus Initiation. That's the subtitle for this one. You can go to my website at whatonearthishappening.com. If we switch over to my laptop, I'll show you there's an event banner right up at the top. You click this banner to get tickets. That's for the Acapulco event. Also, I'll be giving a workshop called Demystifying the Occult Revisited, Initiation into the Mysteries. So this is the poster for that workshop. And if you're going down to the Acapulco conference, please, ladies and gentlemen, come on out to my workshop. That's where the real meat of the matter is going to be presented regarding the occult and the knowledge that it contains, and natural law, and what we can really do to turn this situation around. So check it out at anarchapulco.com, and you can get the full event details there by clicking on that banner or that poster. Okay, so another quick announcement. I want to let everybody know that things have been going great here at What on Earth is Happening as far as, all the production. We got like really great people working on all of the live stuff, the live show that we're doing, and the people who really needed to come forward really showed up and have done a phenomenal job, and I thank them, and I'll continue to thank them. So that being said, there are still some positions that we could really use some help with here at What on Earth is Happening. And, I we have to ask. That's how you get people to come on board and become involved. You have to put the word out and you have to ask. So I want to let people know a couple of positions that we are still trying to fill, at least for now, on a volunteer basis. But at some point, we want to bring in enough resources to get people paid to do this work, because people deserve payment to do this work. Right now, it's all on a volunteer basis until we can start bringing in some more resources doing this. It's very difficult. But I want to let people know about some team positions, okay, that we're still looking for help with. I'm trying to build out the One Great Work network, and to do that, I need a permanent webmaster who knows content management systems very well, including Joomla, WordPress, and Drupal. PHP knowledge is absolutely critical. So if you know the PHP scripting language and how to work with MySQL databases. Of course, the prerequisites, you would have to know HTML5, CSS, JavaScript, the basic developer stack for any webmaster. So if you are a person who lives in the area, now all of these things can be done remotely, but we still have to meet here at the offices of What on Earth is Happening, because we have to have like team meetings and get on the same page with projects. So these positions require people to be able to come to Philadelphia or who live in the area, but work can be done in your own time from home as well. I also need a permanent video editor. We've been giving jobs out as people can basically do them if they have the time and resources. But I really kind of need a permanent video editor. If someone is really good with Final Cut Pro, that would be great. I mean, if you use a different editing system like Premiere, that's also fine. There's many different good ones. But we have a position open for a nonlinear video editor. Also a Photoshop person, someone who's really good with compositing graphics in the program Adobe Photoshop. And basically what the details for that is, I'm really looking for someone on a permanent basis to make some art for the show, namely podcast art. Okay. So I also could use a technical support specialist. I mean, this is what I used to do, but it takes time away from me actually putting together material for the show and doing presentations if I have to troubleshoot things. So if someone is also a good technical support specialist, I'm looking for someone to just come over and troubleshoot problems when they arise. Also, for the actual video show, I'm looking for someone who can help to upload the video of the show after the final broadcast is finalized each week, and to upload them to different video sharing platforms like YouTube, Vimeo, BitChute, DTube, etc. Okay, so if you have a decent internet connection, optimally at least a gigabit connection to the net, up and down would be optimal. But, if you have a really good internet connection, a solid connection, get in touch with us for that. For any of these positions, please send an email to my assistant, Leah Boone, Leah at whatonearthishappening.com, and she is going to handle, directing whoever has interest in filling those positions here at What on Earth is Happening. So that being said, I think that pretty much covers the event announcements that I have for this week and, the general announcements. So let's jump right into the material because we have a whole lot to cover. Okay, so if we switch back to the laptop view, I'll start the presentation for this week. Okay, here we go. So again, this is my title card for the Anarchy in the Occult Part 2 Religion versus Initiation presentation that I'm going to be giving at Acapulco 2019. Working to finish up this presentation. It's going to be a great one. It's going to cover so much that the people at the conference really need to see, hear, and understand regarding a lot of the stumbling blocks that modern anarchists have and don't really see some of their positions that they hold as religious positions that are really holding us back from getting to where we say we want to go. That's mainly what this presentation is going to be about. Looking forward to delivering it at Acapulco 2019. Again, this is my workshop presentation, Demystifying the Occult Revisited. It's going to be a all-day event, okay? So it's going to be given from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on February 13th. That's one day before the event. $140 attendance fee, and it's going to be given in two parts, 2 4-hour sessions, 9 to 1. We're going to take a lunch break from 1 to 2, and then from 2 to 6. There will also be a question and answer within the workshop. So it's not going to be at the end. I'm going to actually be fielding questions while I'm delivering content. That worked out beautifully last year, and I'm going to continue that format this year. So if you're going to Acapulco, please be sure to attend Demystifying the Occult Revisited, my all-day workshop. You will not be sorry that you did. All right. So today's episode, and folks, let me tell you, this is one of the most important things that I think anybody can do in the so-called truth movement or the so-called freedom movement. Because, folks, we are not even close to being where we need to be, okay? And the reason largely for that is people only have halfway understanding because they only have halfway knowledge, and they're not taking the action that needs to be taken because their knowledge set is incomplete. So again, I kind of tongue-in-cheek titled this show The Super Bowl of Knowledge, as we're broadcasting live here on Super Bowl Sunday. And this show is all about the A.R.K drive. Now, A.R.K, A.R.K, that's the acronym that stands for Amazing Repository of Knowledge. And what the A.R.K is what we're going to go over here on the show today. We're going to go over how you can get one. We're going to go over the shipping instructions to clarify this. See, what this show is really going to be about, folks, is this is an instruction manual on what to do to get the A.R.K, okay? Because I've noticed something that in addition to people not having enough knowledge about the causal factors that have led to the human condition of slavery, one of the main things that I think a lot of people lack is, one, technological knowledge, okay? I've talked about this on every show back so far, is that we are in a state of technological illiteracy. It is literally like not being able to read or write, 100 years ago. Okay, when people don't know how to build content, when they don't know actually how to do any kind of legitimate content creation on their own computing devices. And again, last week I got into that a little bit, that this capacity has been diminished because of the whole mobile arena, the mobile device arena, okay? And it is a circus, this mobile device arena, okay? Putting cell phones and tablets into people's hands, people took this as, oh, it's going to be so much more convenient. We're going to have our data on the go. But really all it does is it takes a powerful creative machine out of one's hands in the form of a desktop computer, and it replaces it with something that you can't really be nearly as creative on, that is just a consumer device. And that's why I highly encourage people to really start delving into how to make their own content, and you need a desktop computer to really be able to do that effectively and to put some content out on a wide scale. That's why we have to get back into buying powerful desktop machines and powerful laptops and understanding how to use that technology to reach out to people. So this show is going to be about the A.R.K drive. It is a hard drive that is a 1 terabyte of data. 1 terabyte of downloaded material from all over the internet that I have put together since really I have been online, since I have been connected to the internet, okay? And I've been archiving data in much larger amounts, and I've condensed all the best information and put it onto 1 hard drive for people. And what it is basically you send me a hard drive, I'll fill it up with the data that I have downloaded over the years, the most important of that data, and then ship it back to you. That's really the essence of the offer. We're going to go over all the details here today. Now, before I get into everything about the A.R.K drive, I want to reiterate some things that I covered in my natural law presentation, okay? And the reason that this is important is because, first of all, this is the most occulted and hidden material on the earth. Okay, the knowledge of natural law, the knowledge of the real, objective, definitive difference between right and wrong behavior is ultimately what is going to really reverse the human condition of slavery and put us on a path toward real freedom. Now, I gave this presentation, I believe it was back in 2013, and it might have been earlier than that, but basically, this was given up in Connecticut, okay, hosted by my friend Art up there, and it was really one of the most important, if not the most important pieces of information that I've ever publicly put forward, okay? This is the hallmark of my material. And where I started, what I started in this presentation covering was, what are the really basics that we need to understand before we even get into the actual knowledge. And the biggest part of that is we have to understand what the role of knowledge is in our lives. Okay. And this is what the A.R.K drive is all about. Okay. The A.R.K drive is all about getting a wider swath of knowledge and information into your hands for your personal study and edification. Okay. That's what this is all about, because a lot of people don't know how to search the internet effectively. Okay. They get onto a search engine, start typing things, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to effectively narrow things down and to weed through a lot of the garbage that is out there on the internet, because there's a lot of that, believe me. Okay. So what the A.R.K lets people do I'm sorry, folks, I need a little bit of water. Apologize for that. That rarely happens to me. But what the A.R.K drive enables people to do is to study all of this material offline. You have it on the drive, so you don't even need to connect to the internet to look for things. It puts it all in a repository for you that you can hook up to any computer, no matter what type of operating system it is, and you'll have that data permanently offline. Okay, so you don't need an internet connection to study the material that's on the A.R.K. Okay, it's right there for offline browsing at your leisure. Okay, so going back to the slide presentation, one of the main things that I covered in the natural law seminar was the requirements for changing the situation that we currently find ourselves in. Okay, you need to change your mindset to do that, and to do that, you have to have the correct information. You have to have all the knowledge, the grammar of the three-step process of the Trivium: grammar, logic, and rhetoric. Grammar is the knowledge base. Okay, then logic means you're doing a filtration system upon all of that knowledge, and you're coming to an accurate understanding of what it means. And then finally, in the rhetoric stage, you're outputting it into the world. You are sharing it with other people so that they can come to understand what you have come to understand. So the role of knowledge plays such an important part in this process, as we're going to see here today in this presentation, leading up to the A.R.K offer. Okay, so requirements for changing the human condition. Human beings always say that they want certain conditions to be present both for themselves and their species as a whole, such as happiness, health, peace, freedom, prosperity, etc. Okay, we pay lip service to all of these things. We say we want freedom. We say we want anarchy. We say we don't want the oppression of government. Okay, we say we want equality under natural law. But how many people really understand the conditions that are necessary to bring that about in the manifested 3D world? How many people have that knowledge? Okay, specific requirements exist for human beings to bring those conditions into the realm of manifestation. It doesn't just happen automatically. And if the requirements for obtaining those conditions are not met, those conditions don't just manifest by magical means. To think that it works like that is called magical thinking, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And that's why we have to understand the causal factors that have led to the human condition. Without that knowledge, we are not in an empowered position to create the change that we say we want to see. And this is what too few people do. They describe the prison. They describe all the problems. They say they want it to be different. They say it should be different. But then they don't really understand how to make that come about. They don't understand the causal factors that have brought us to the place that we are. And they don't understand the requirements for changing these conditions. And when they hear the answer, they often reject it. When you tell them the requirements are you have to change your mind and then you have to help other people to change their minds. Okay? This is about doing the actual great alchemical work of internal change. And that's what people don't want to hear. They want to hear, oh, I just need to rearrange the system. I just need to reform this part of education or this part of government or this part of the monetary system. Well, it doesn't work like that, folks. These are all symptoms of an underlying psychological condition in the human mind and heart, and the requirements for making them change is to change the self and then help other people on an individual basis to change their own consciousness. And that's the last solution people want to hear. They want you to say we need to invent some new device that's going to make the world a perfect place. And there is no such thing. Okay? This is hard internal shadow work that needs to be done upon the self. And then we need to reach out to others and help them to go through that same alchemical self-transformation that we went through. And that's what What on Earth is Happening is all about. That's what the great work is all about. Moving on to the next slide. This is all about hidden knowledge, occult knowledge. Again, the occult has been a focal theme of my work since day one. Okay, this is hidden knowledge that is held by only a few people, an oligarchical group of what I call sorcerers, mind control sorcerers, people who understand everything there is to know about the human condition and psychology, and they have the knowledge of how it all works. Okay, and from that position of loftiness and their knowledge, they're creating a power differential in the world, because knowledge applied is power. Okay, and they wield that knowledge over the ignorance of the masses that know nothing about how the human psychology or the laws of nature work. Okay, so the word occult derived from the Latin occultus, meaning hidden, and that occultus, that adjective comes from the Latin verb occultare, which means to hide, to conceal, or to keep secret. That's all the word occult means. It never has meant anything else. You know, if you just even look it up in Spanish, you know, occult, it means to hide, okay, or hidden. Very, very simple definition. People associate it with evil, however, and therefore they get the wrong idea of what studying the occult means. It can be used for the enslavement of humanity if you use it as a weapon, if you use that knowledge as a weapon against other people's ignorance. But if you use it to uplift humanity and bring them up to the same level of knowledge as you, then you are using it for the right reason. So it is just a tool, and the way that it is used determines what the actual effect is, whether it is used for good or evil. Occult knowledge constitutes both the knowledge of human consciousness and how it operates, and the knowledge of natural law, the unseen, universal, spiritual laws which govern the consequences of human behavior. Okay, and as I've said, natural law governs the consequences of beings with the capacity for holistic intelligence, meaning the capacity for understanding the difference between right and wrong behavior. This is why natural law, the laws of behavioral consequence, do not apply to the animal kingdom except for human beings. It applies to human beings and those with at least as complexified of a central nervous system and brain as human beings, and those that are more advanced than us, because of course anything more advanced will also be able to understand the principles of the difference between right and wrong behavior. Okay, so that's what the occult is hiding. Okay. And this knowledge is not commonly known because it has been deliberately hidden away by the sorcerers of the world, if you will, the mind controllers, the social engineers, whatever name you want to give them. It's people who know this and know that other people don't know it, okay? And they do that in order to create and maintain a power differential between themselves, those who hold this information, and those who don't have this information, those who remain ignorant of it. Okay, now I'm going to talk a little bit later about the difference between nescience and ignorance, okay, because we have to understand that distinction, and we have to understand we're not a nescient population, we're an ignorant population of beings, and that's why we're going into tyranny and enslavement. The knowledge of natural law and its operations constitutes the most deeply occulted information on Earth, which the powers that be seek to keep hidden from the people of Earth at all costs, because its understanding would quote-unquote level the playing field and put an end to the currently entrenched systems of control and slavery on this planet. Okay? That is why they have to keep this information to the extent that is within their ability to do so under wraps and hidden. Okay? But it's not really hidden, folks. You know, this is just an excuse that people make. You know, it's not them doing it to us. It's us doing it to us. Okay? It's the choice to ignore the information of the occult. It's the choice to ignore the objective difference between right and wrong behavior and just do whatever the hell we want because we think we can get away with it. It's all, the burden rests squarely upon human beings' shoulders, and we should not try to defer it to anyone else, you know, in our attempt to justify our behavior and ignorance, okay? It lies firmly upon our shoulders, and we need to accept that and accept that responsibility for changing it, okay? And when human beings make the decision that they want to become knowledgeable instead of remaining ignorant, and they want to turn on a show like this instead of watching some dumb game with some people who are paid millions of dollars to throw a ball around a field and think that that's somehow going to bring any type of improvement to their lives just because they want to mindlessly follow entertainment. And look, folks, I'm not saying have no entertainment or fun in your life. You know what I mean? Don't twist my words and put words in my mouth and tell people I'm saying things that I'm not. Okay, we all have to have enjoyment. We all have to have rest, relaxation, rejuvenation in our lives. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the people that make this their personal identity and get all into it, and like know all the stats and all the players. It's like, I couldn't tell you anything that happened in football, baseball, hockey, anything. I don't pay attention to sports in that way. I don't follow it. Okay, I kind of like and appreciate, sport in general. Okay, I personally like to engage in martial arts and in bowling. I used to play baseball in my youth. Some people don't know this about me. A form of entertainment I indulge in is I watch professional wrestling here and there. And, it's like everybody needs some form of outlet for some type of entertainment in their lives. I'm not begrudging anybody that. What I am saying is most people do that all the time and they get lost in it. And they're not making time for true education in their lives. They're not making the time to watch documentaries and read books, and get something like the A.R.K and pour through it and really get into it deeply and start studying the material that's in there. Okay, so that's how we're going to level the playing field, is by getting out of the ignorance of the causal factors of the human condition, understanding the real causal factors for ourselves, changing our own minds and our own lives and our own behaviors, and then teaching that to other people. That's the great work. So, nescience versus ignorance, the two forms of not knowing. Okay, you could not know something, but there's two ways that you could not know it. Okay, so this slide is all about from the natural law seminar called the context of not knowing. Okay, so nescience, from the Latin verb nesciere, it means to not know because knowledge was absent or unattainable. So literally, there was no data that you could actually get in your hands to put into your mind. Okay, you could not obtain it. It was not present. It was not readily available. Ignorance, on the other hand, comes from the Latin verb ignorare, which means to not know, even though necessary information is present, because that information has been willfully refused or disregarded. That is the context of what ignorance means. It means that the knowledge is present in your environment and you are capable of taking it in and absorbing it and understanding it, but you have willfully chosen not to do so because you'd rather be doing other things than watch grown men in tights kick around a ball on a field. Okay? So that is the state that we are in. That is the condition we are in. We are not a nescient species. All the information is here, ladies and gentlemen. It always has been here, believe it or not. Okay? It's a matter of us wanting it, of us desiring to take it into ourselves badly enough. Okay? And I'm going to talk about how easy it is for us today to do this compared to how hard it was for our ancestors, for those who came before us, who had the arduous job of preserving this knowledge and attempting to proliferate it in what little ways that they could in the ancient world. When you understand how people went through trials and tribulations to obtain this knowledge from the ancient mystery tradition schools, compared to what we need to open up a device and type a couple of words into a search engine and we're off to the races knowing whatever we want. It's amazingly easy compared to what it was in the past. Okay? Yet we willfully choose to continue to disregard or refuse this knowledge. And let me tell you something, that puts us in a way worse position karmically. When the information is there and we're capable of understanding it and taking it in, and we say, no, I'm not worried about that. F truth. Okay? I'm not interested. I have a party to go to. I have movies to watch. I have games to watch and play. Not interested. Okay. That's going to bring down heavy consequences upon humanity in general and the individuals who take that mindset. All right. So moving out of the natural law seminar little section there that I reiterated, why is it so important? Why is this knowledge so important? If you didn't get why it's so important just from the last little bit, let me go over this. I call this Reality Manifestation 101. This is the real law of attraction. This is what the Natural Law Seminar was all about, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the A.R.K is all about, okay? See, the control class, the priest class of controllers, whatever you want to call them, okay? The sorcerers of consciousness, the powers that should not be in our world, okay, who currently have the reins of the human condition of slavery. They have us in an iron fist grip, okay, mentally, and in many cases spiritually, and certainly physically through their order follower controllers, okay. The reason that they can do this and that we can't get out of the condition is that they are controlling the game from the level of knowledge, which is the baseline of the game, folks, okay. If you don't have the building blocks for how reality works, which is the knowledge phase, okay, everything that comes on top of that is going to be systemically flawed, okay? And you'll see when I build this slide out, okay, what I mean by that. Now, people who have seen my former work may be familiar with this, but those who are not, you will benefit greatly from this. So really pay attention and attempt to understand what I'm laying out here. Okay, so the first step is knowledge. You have to gather all of the seemingly disparate pieces of information available to you from a wide and eclectic variety of sources. So this is available information level of how reality is built. So this constitutes all potential forms of data that may be gathered, processed, understood, and acted upon. Okay, these are just the pieces, the building blocks. This is the first layer of the trivium, the first step of the trivium process. Now, on top of that, we're going to build something else, okay? Because what do you do with that knowledge, okay? You don't just let it sit around collecting dust. You gather it, then you have to do something with it. So let's move back to the slides. The next step of this process of manifesting reality is you have to come to an understanding of what all of that knowledge means through decision-making processes in your mind. So the processing of available information, which takes place within the human mind and becomes the life choices of each individual. Okay, we base everything that we do in our lives on the knowledge that we have taken in or haven't taken in. So the decision-making processes that we go through in our mind are either going to be very sharp and on point and in keeping with reality, okay? Our perceptions are going to align to the natural world and to natural law, or our decision-making process are going to be wildly off-kilter and inaccurate because we have holes in our knowledge base. And that's why they have to control reality from the knowledge level by dissuading you from looking into it, or as is within the limit of their power to do so, to actually hide that information and keep it out of people's hands. Now, the third step of this process is, what do we do with it? Once we have it, and then we have come to an understanding of what it means, then we have to apply it in our lives, and we apply it in our lives through our behavior. And each individual's behavior is, in turn, based upon the quality of their decision-making processes in step 2, and that is, in turn, based upon the quality of the available information that they have taken in. So this is the wisdom step of the trivium. The middle step was understanding. The wisdom step, the third level, is what do you do with it? Are you acting rightly upon it? So we either have develop it through the gathering of the knowledge and the processing and understanding of it. Do we develop wisdom, or do we have a lack of wisdom in our lives? Are we engaging in right behavior, or are we not engaging in right behavior because we don't understand and we don't have the knowledge that we need to come to the correct understanding? Now, finally, we get a result that is generated in our lives. And the result is the consequence that is then delivered to us through the natural laws of spiritual morality, through the spiritual laws of morality. And this gives us the consequence of what we actually experience in our day-to-day lives. And it comes in the form of either order or chaos, freedom or slavery. Okay? So the manifested reality means the quality of the condition which manifests in any society is based upon the aggregate quality of behavior within that society. This is the law of freedom, ladies and gentlemen, okay? You're going to get the condition based on the aggregate behavior. Was the aggregate behavior of the society moral? Well, then you're going to be delivered the consequence of freedom. Was the aggregate behavior of the society immoral? Well, then you're going to be delivered the consequence of slavery. It works unwaveringly, flawlessly like that in all times and places for all eternity. And if we don't understand that, we do not understand how reality is actually built and manifested in our lives. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the real law of attraction. The real laws of how creation delivers to us the consequences that we must live within based upon the quality of our collective or aggregate behavior. What you are seeing in this very one slide is practically the totality of how the entire control of this planet works. Because the control system, the control class, the sorcerers of consciousness, the mind controllers, the social engineers, all work from the limiting of that very bottom base block down there called knowledge. They have to keep the knowledge of how things really work out of the human mind to the extent that is within their capability to do so. And they don't even have to work that hard at doing it, folks, because most of us are just willfully ignoring it. We're not striving for it a bit. We're not making the time to do it in our lives, okay? Most of us couldn't be bothered, okay? And that's why we remain enslaved in the aggregate. The condition of humanity is still slavery because people don't understand what I laid out there in that last slide and don't align their behavior to that understanding, okay? So that's the real law of attraction. That's not some new age bullshit variant that they're teaching you in all these, spirituality classes where, let's just meditate our way to nirvana, okay? Like yoga is about just putting the body in good shape, etc. Okay? All new age nonsense. This is the real law of attraction, not the secret version of the law of attraction. This is the real, true secret in the form of occulted version of the law of attraction. That's how our reality is really manifested. Okay? So that being said, let's get into what the A.R.K is all about. Okay? And why it's important. It's important because the depth of our knowledge is what is required, not just skirting the periphery or delving into the shallow water. The depth of knowledge that is required to repair the human condition is ultra considerable, okay? This isn't something that you're going to study in 2 hours and get and understand deeply. You have to study this for years, okay? And you have to arm yourself with the correct information. It's not about how many books you read. It's about whether you read the right ones, It's about gathering the sources of knowledge that you need from the right sources, okay? And most people don't know how to do that. That's why I've helped people take a shortcut in this regard. That doesn't mean I can understand it for you. I can't process it and understand it for you. You have to do that. But the shortcut that I'm allowing you to take is at least I'm helping you to gather the information that you need to understand. All right. So a quote that really very, very well describes the human condition right now, okay, was by the British poet Alexander Pope in his essay on criticism. He said, "A little learning is a dangerous thing. Drink deep or taste not the Pierian spring. There shallow draughts intoxicate the brain, and drinking largely sobers us again. Fired at first sight with what the muse imparts, in fearless youth we tempt the heights of arts, while from the bounded level of our mind short views we take, nor see the lengths behind, but more advanced behold with strange surprise new distant scenes of endless science rise." Absolutely magnificent poetry, first of all, okay? Secondly, what he's saying is so ultra profound, okay? Because he's saying if you're going to just skirt the periphery and drink of the shallow draughts of the spring of knowledge, the Pierian spring, don't bother at all. Why bother? Just you're only going to do yourself and humanity a disservice, because you're not going to have proper understanding by just taking in a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of learning. Okay? You have to go deeply into it to understand it in all of its detail and complexity. Okay? And you have to get all of the data that you need. You have to assemble it all, not just little bits of it, because then there's holes and gaps in your knowledge, and you're not going to understand what it really means or how it really works. Okay? And he's saying when we're in our youth, we tempt the heights of the arts. We think we're going to reach the height of knowledge, okay? But really we're operating from a bounded level of mind with short-sighted views. We don't see how far we need to go to really get the knowledge that we need, okay? But when we go to those more advanced levels, when we go to those more advanced vistas of knowledge, then a whole new scene of endless science opens up for our eyes. It's absolutely amazing and totally on point with what I'm trying to convey that the A.R.K drive makes available, okay? And when people tell me, when they ask me, Mark, what is the one thing that, you think people could do to really, really change things? Well, first of all, it's understanding natural law. Secondly, it's really deeply understanding the occult. And one of the ways that you can do that is by getting the A.R.K drive. Okay? One of the things I tell people that is so lacking is completeness of the picture. Okay? This is the thing that I think is lacking more than anything else. I see all these researchers, I see all these people who say that they want to make things better, and their knowledge base is always lacking. In some form or another, they haven't gone deeply enough to understand how things really work in whatever given area of expertise that they're delving into. Okay? The A.R.K drive will help to level that playing field, so to speak. It will help you to get what you need as far as the knowledge is concerned to really understand in a deeper way. And you have to invest the time. Folks, this is, again, a theme's coming up on these first 3 shows back, okay? Desire, drive, or absolute persistence, okay? Tenaciousness, okay? And then sacrifice. Time and sacrifice are going to be required, okay? We have to put the time and effort in. This isn't something that just is an automated magical process. Now, what will happen that seems automated is you start delving into this stuff, you are going to practically be thrown from one topic to another almost automatically. Okay, you're going to understand one thing, and then the next thing that you're going to say, well, what do I need to understand next? And it's going to be revealed unto you. It's going to be shown to you practically in a synchronistic fashion. Okay, this is how it happens for almost everybody that goes really deeply down the path of knowledge. Okay, and you can't get, just to reiterate here, you can't get stuck in the knowledge. Okay, it's not about just taking in more and more and more and more and more endlessly. This is where I got stuck at a point in my life. Okay, I was stuck just taking in all of this knowledge, not doing anything with it, thinking all I just have to do is keep learning more. I'll learn more. I'll refine my knowledge and understanding, and I'll just keep learning more and more and more and more. And I was driven to do that because of the place that I had just been involved in, namely the dark occult that I had gotten involved in myself. When I understood this is what was really controlling the world at a base level, it drove me into almost an obsession of seeking knowledge about how the world was really run, and what were the solutions to fixing it. And then I almost got stuck in that knowledge and almost forgot. This isn't about just taking in the knowledge. It's about what we do with it. Taking in the knowledge is only the first step. We have to understand what it means in a deep way so that we can then put the word out to other people and help them to understand. That's what this is all about. It's helping other people come up. It's not just you being up here and everybody else being down there. That's what the sorcerers of the world are doing. Okay? We need to be up here in our knowledge with where they're at, but then help other people to come up there as well. So then nobody can use this knowledge as a weapon to control people with it. So, Alexander Pope, brilliant, allegorical poem here about how you really have to go deep into learning or don't bother at all, and that takes time, that takes persistence, that takes patience, that takes sacrifice in many cases. Okay, so this is a great poster for the A.R.K drive that my friend Brett made, and it's the amazing repository of knowledge. Get the whole picture. That's what this is about, folks. It's about developing the whole picture with no holes in your knowledge base. So here's what the ARK is comprised of. 1,800 video files, 8,000 digital books, and over 20,000 audio files from my own personal archive of research and data. Okay? It goes on a 1 terabyte hard drive, 1 terabyte or larger. I'm going to go over all the specs. I'm going to show you an ARK. Okay? We're going to plug one in and, show you what's on it. Okay? So you can get more details at whatonearthishappening.com/ARK. That is the website. That is the page to go to on my website. I'm going to show it to you, okay? Let me come out of the presentation briefly. You can keep it on the, yep, I have to exit out. You can keep it on the laptop. And let's go to the ARK, okay? So there's a tab on the website, ARK, right here. Okay, you could either click that or you can click this button here on the left hand side that says get the ARK, get the whole picture. Okay, I'll click the tab up here and this is going to describe the ARK to you. Okay, so you ship a 1 terabyte hard drive to me, I fill it with information and ship it back to you. It's that easy. Okay, then you'll have at your fingertips all the information you need to understand what is happening in our world all in one place. No need to endlessly search the internet. Okay, so my friend Mike, his actual name is Mihai. He went by the Americanized version of Mike back when I met him. But my friend Mihai from Romania, who now lives in the United States, said to me at one point, Mark, I would really like to go through some of the research that led you to understand all that you have come to understand, because I recognize you as a knowledgeable individual and I respect you for that. And he said, would you be willing to take my hard drive here that's empty? It's a 1 terabyte hard drive that he had just recently purchased. I think this was back in 2009. They were pretty expensive back then. Now I'll show you that they've dropped down to about $45, even under in some cases, $45. Back then they were at least a couple $100 to get a terabyte USB connection ARK, USB 2 or 3. He had a drive, he gave it to me, and he said, if you could just fill this up with what you think I need to understand, the best information that you've gathered, since you've been doing this type of work. And I said, yeah, sure. I said, you're going to have to give me a couple months, and that's how long it took. I literally sat down. I'll probably show people one day. I have archived all of the data that I've been downloading since I've been online onto like DVDs and Blu-ray discs. Okay. And I have like 20 bags filled with data, literally like disc bags that hold 200 discs each. Like the bags, I have like 20 bags of those filled with data. Okay. And so I went through all of them, put one disc at a time into the computer, into the DVD drive or the Blu-ray drive, and just went through them and, started taking things off and, putting them on this 1 terabyte hard drive and then, organizing it into categories. It took me something like 3 months, I just sat in the basement of my old place for day after day, just, loading up this 1 terabyte hard drive and being selective about it, trying to pick some of the best material that I had downloaded, choosing, okay, I'll put this on. No, I won't put this on. That's just, secondary or ancillary, and I went through, everything that I thought was the most important material, filled it up to the brim, gave it back to him. And, he was just, amazed. Then he's like, well, why don't you do this for some people? And I considered it. I'm like, yeah, it's not a bad idea. Maybe other people would want this. So I made a copy of it for myself and held on to it. And I started asking people, would you be interested in something like this? And some people said, yeah, I want that. Took me up on it. And that's how the ARK offer came to be. Okay. So to get this, to start the process, I'm going to actually do it right now. Okay. There's this form under here that you just fill out. That's all you really need to do to get started. And then you could print it out or save it to your hard drive. Okay. So it says here to read the section completely before you use the form. Please do so. don't give me a hard drive in person. This isn't an in-person offer. Okay. You need to do this through the mail from wherever you're from, through not the mail, but through a private carrier, as you'll see. Okay. From wherever you are from. It can only be received by following my shipping instructions. Now, look, I've been doing this for like 10 years, folks. Okay. So I've learned just about everything not to do. You name the thing that could possibly go wrong with sending a hard drive back and forth through a carrier service, okay? And it has occurred. It has happened, okay? So everything that I'm going to tell you from here forward, I'm speaking from direct first-hand personal experience, not conjecture, okay? And so this is why I want to help people to understand there's a reason for everything that I'm going to show you here. And I want people to see this video as an instruction manual. When people ask me, what should I do? What should I not do? I'm going to refer them to this video and show you how simple it is. You know, people have complicated this in every way imaginable, folks. They have done every possible thing that can be done wrong. Hard drives have arrived completely destroyed. And that is what I don't want to see happen, because that's money, that's time, that's effort, all wasted, all down the drain. You know, we have better things to do than waste our time. Okay, you have better things to do than waste your time, and I certainly have better things to do than to waste mine. So there's some pretty strict shipping instructions that I want to go over, and I have all the material. I'm going to show you an ARK drive. Okay, I'm going to show you what you need to pack it up. I'm going to show you the right way to pack it. Okay. And people may find this boring. They may find it superfluous. That's okay. You know, this is also about taking the time to do something right. Okay. So like Alexander Pope's quote about, like, if you're not going to bother with going deep into the knowledge, don't bother at all. Right. You know, I want to go to another thing that, like, a couple of people in my life helped me to understand. They kind of almost gave me my work ethic, you could say. And one of them helped me to really develop a deep appreciation for knowledge in my youth. Okay. Before we even continue with the instructions here with this form, I want to briefly tell a couple of anecdotes about this. The first is my biological grandfather on my mother's side, Lewis. Okay. He once said to me, take your time and do things right, because if something is worth doing, it's worth doing right. Okay? So don't rush when you're doing something. Focus in on it. Okay? So he was a mail carrier for the Postal Service later, and he was a carpenter also, a veteran, etc. Okay? And he was a phenomenal individual, probably the person who had probably the most impact on my youth growing up. Okay? A great masculine father figure, male figure in my life. Couldn't ask for any better. And his whole thing that he instilled in me that I took away from my relationship with him is, if something is worth doing, do it right and do it to the best of your ability. Okay. He tried to instill that in me from when I was young. Okay. And I carry that with me to this day. Right. Don't just do it to go through the motions. Try to make it the best that you can make it. I think people see that in the quality of my work, or at least I hope they do. Okay. I don't just skirt the periphery of things. I try to do them nicely. I try to do them with a good aesthetic. I try to do them well and completely. And I try to do them in a way that people will appreciate and understand. Okay. So I think the same respect should be given back both ways for this offer. I'm offering something that I did over, to take a laborious effort to do, and it still does each week. I have to take these boxes, unbox them, connect them to my personal computers, use their resources to copy the data, that box everything back up. Nobody else does this for me, folks. I don't have a team doing this for me. It's not like we have that many people here. Okay. People come help with the show. My assistant helps me with other things of preparatory work. And it's all highly invaluable, that help that I get from them. But it's like a lot of technical help is not what I have here. A lot of the technical work falls to me. Okay. And I do all of this personally with my own time every week. Okay. And I go and take them. I walk the packages down to the shipping office and go and take them. Okay. So that's why I want to help people to understand part of what I do each week to do this work. Okay. And I would like there to be some mutual respect for the offer. Now, another individual, as a little continuation of this anecdote, that really instilled something precious in me when I was young was one of my teachers. Okay, now I don't know if he wants his name said because I haven't kept in touch with him, but I was admitted into a program when I was young because teachers early on in my grade school years saw that I was heavily bored in school, that the things that they taught came very quickly to me, and then I got bored very quickly. And I didn't really act up or act out, but I sat there without attention, and then if I was called on, I'm like, yeah, I know that, and I answered, and they just knew I was horribly bored. Okay. It's not like that for everybody. I'm very blessed in that regard to be gifted with a mind that works like that. Okay. And one of my teachers called my mother into the school office, and my mother was like, "Oh, is my son in trouble? Is he acting up or something?" And she's like, "No, your son's very much more advanced than the rest of the class as far as learning, and I think he's very bored and doesn't really want to be here because he picks up this stuff like so fast that then he sits there bored for the rest of the time, and I'm going to recommend him for a more advanced program that takes place out of this school. It's a state-run program that is for more advanced students who get bored with the regular curricula and they want to take them in and teach them some other things." And this was a great program. Okay, one day a week I went to a different school. Every week from when I was in first grade through 8th grade. And this other program, which was called Program for Mentally Gifted Students, was a critical thinking class, believe it or not. I attribute a lot of how I learned to later think by the taking of this course, okay? And one of the teachers I had, I won't say his last name, his first name was Theodore or Ted, okay? And he just really helped instill what I would consider a reverence for knowledge in me. I remember one day he taught early computer science, and we learned BASIC and Logo and things like that, early computing languages. It was really fun. Okay, we learned how to write our own little choose your own adventure stories, things like that, like what you're seeing today with some of the Netflix movies. Okay, so in one of the classes, somebody had written some computer program, and it was on a disk. And, another kid was writing something on a piece of paper. And you remember those old floppy disks, the big 5 1/4-inch square, floppies, and it had the little disk inside, and it had an area, if you touched that disk or you poked it, the data was destroyed on the disk, the old floppy disk. I mean, this is 5 1/4-inch floppies, I'm telling my age here, okay? But anyway, one kid had his loose leaf paper and he's writing something, and he didn't realize there was a floppy drive underneath where he was writing, and it wasn't protected, and he wrote right through the paper and onto his pen hit the disc, the exposed part of the disc in the hole, and that disc was shot. And he didn't the teacher didn't go nuts on him or anything. He just took the disc. He showed people what happened because he was a little careless. And he said, just try not to do that again because, somebody had written something out of their own creative effort onto this disc, and that's a piece of knowledge that's now lost, and just in doing that, just in showing his care for the knowledge that was on that disc, it made an impression upon me, and he was explaining we've come such a long way in how we preserve data. You could have a book on this disc practically. Okay. They didn't hold that much back then compared to what drives hold now. Somebody just sent me on the tech needs list a 12 terabyte hard drive. I want to thank the person who sent that out. It was so needed. I've just made a backup myself of everything, all the material here for What on Earth is Happening. It's going to be put in a safe at a heavyweight safe at a remote location. And the person who got that from me made that possible. So thank you. Because I don't have an off-site backup, and this is the first time I'm doing that, and that's what that drive was for. We have 14, 16 terabyte hard drives now. Imagine how much data that is. That's a lifetime of learning and more. It's multiple lifetimes of learning. Okay, a 1 terabyte drive is more than a lifetime of learning. So, my former teacher, Ted, thank you for helping instill that sanctity of knowledge, I would call it, in me and the other students that he taught. I'll never forget him, and never forget, that he taught me to be like that when it comes to knowledge. Okay. So, just continuing with this, the ARK instructions aren't negotiable. Okay. I have to be hardlined about this, folks. I'm sorry, but you have to understand my time is extraordinarily, tight, and it's very valuable to me, and I have to do things in a streamlined way or I can't do them at all. Okay. So I know people get all nuts about this. Mark is this and that and a stickler for this. It's like, folks, you got to understand it's just me. And then there's thousands of other people who want to compete for my attention and time. Plus, then I have actual work that I have to do, and I'm on deadlines. People don't understand this when they're not a public figure or speaker or don't do this type of work. They're like, oh, he has endless amounts of time. He doesn't, work a regular job. You don't understand how tight my time is. Okay. And how much under pressure and deadlines that I often am. Okay. So it's like, this is about respect for other people's time. This offer is a lot about respect. Okay. And I'm going to go into that before I finish the presentation for today. Okay. But there should be mutual respect. I'm respecting the person who is taking me up on the offer, and the person should be respectful of my offer. Okay, so to get the shipping instructions, we fill out this form. I'm going to do it here live. Okay, so let's fill it out. All right, so I'm going to put in, okay, Mark at What on Earth is Happening. And I'll take my number out of there. I have to put in a phone number. I'll fill in a fake one. Doesn't matter. So here we go. I'm going to hit request ARK shipping instructions. Okay. So that takes you to this page. All right. And it says, thank you for your interest in the ARK drive. Your contact information has been successfully submitted. No email will be sent to you. Okay. Very simple. All that does is put your contact info in a little database so that, if I need to contact you, if anything goes wrong with your drive, I have that easily available and retrievable for me. Okay. Then it says click here to download the ARK drive shipping instructions in PDF format. I'm going to click that. It's going to open up the ARK drive shipping instructions. Now we're going to go over this. I have a local copy. Okay. So now let me just explain to you what you could do here. I'm using the Firefox browser. I prefer it because it's open source, free open source software. Okay. I think it works fast. I like the rendering engine compared to other web browsers. So if you're using that, generally you get this interface. Okay. And basically you can do a couple of things here. You could print a document from there, this little icon right over here. Okay, you could hit print, and then you can click this one to download it. That'll download it right to your hard drive. Okay, and then you'll have it permanently. You could open it up on your hard drive whenever you want. So I've already done that. Okay, and I'm going to just move over to it so I can start to show you the instructions. I am going to go through this whole document. Okay, so the first thing it says on the document is pay attention, take your time, and focus. All right. So I'm trying to put people into an alert mode. Okay. That be present moment awareness. Okay. Be here now. So important. It's one of the steps of occult initiation. Okay. We have to focus on the task at hand. If you want to do this and you think it's worth doing, take the time and the focus to do it right. Okay. So you put yourself in that mind frame, okay? Read all the instructions completely and follow them exactly, or you will not receive the ARK data. So a lot of people have been, not a lot, I would say a percentage of people have been disrespectful regarding the ARK data. Not all of them, but a smaller percentage has been, okay? And when you ask them respectfully and politely to do something the way that I want it done for my schedule, okay, and to protect their property, okay, because I can't tell you how many of these have been destroyed on shipment because people don't do it right, okay. I don't want to see your data destroyed. I don't want to see your property destroyed, okay. You're shipping at something often very far distance, and you know how like some of these carriers handle stuff, man. I mean, let's be real, okay. A lot of these people, they throw stuff. They don't have respect. Some of them do. Some of them are very good people. I know some family members of mine work in the shipping industry. Okay. Some of them really take pride in their job. But then you have that, element that are within these shipping companies that they just, it's like, this ain't my stuff. Oh, throw it. Who cares? Leave it out. Let it get stolen. You got to realize you have all kinds of people in different levels of consciousness working in places like this. Okay? So I'm trying to optimize your chances for having a smooth experience with getting the ARC drive. I want to see you get it, and I want to see you learn from it. Okay? So I have extremely valid reasons for being so specific with the following instructions, the foremost of which is to protect your property. So I ask you be respectful of my offer and follow these directions precisely. Please do not waste my time and yours by taking this offer and these directions. Please do not waste my time and yours by not taking this offer and these directions seriously. These shipping instructions are not negotiable. This shipment system, when followed correctly, works perfectly for me and for my schedule. Do not write to me to ask if you can receive the ARC via any other means other than those specified in the below instructions. It does not matter if you have problems getting your local shipping carrier to comply with these instructions. These instructions stand no matter what, and no exceptions will be made for any reason, at least from me, if you take me up on this offer. Okay? My offer is non-negotiable. If you get the ARC from someone else, you're free to do so. But if you request it from me, I have specific ways that I want you to send your drive. Okay. And again, the reason is I've done this more times than anyone else, and I know what works and what doesn't work. And I've had people do it the wrong way, and invariably it gets messed up and their drive gets damaged or lost. I've had people from the United States have their drive damaged and lost. I've had people do everything you could possibly imagine. I'm going to go through some of them. Okay, of things not to do, and you cannot imagine what people have done. See, part of why I want to emphasize this, folks, just as a brief aside, okay, is the other thing that I wanted to tell people that a lot of people don't have, not just that don't they have completeness in their knowledge, okay, they don't have common everyday life skills. Not that don't they have technical knowledge, right, on how to do things technologically. They're technologically illiterate, but they are very life skill deficient. I have seen this particularly with dealing with people who are trying to take me up on the ARC drive offer. A lot of inadequacies in general life skills, like packing things for shipment or taking things to a carrier, or dealing with people. I mean, it's like, it's the commentary on it is quite sad, believe it or not. Okay. And I'm not saying that to just insult everybody out there. Many people do this right, and they're arrogant about the way they go about it. You could see the respect that they have. You can see that they took the time and the effort to do it right. Okay. And see, part of this is like it's a little test. Part of it is like, who am I giving this to? I want to know a little bit about who I'm giving this to. And it's like, part of it is, can you take something seriously enough to follow a little bit of instructions and do something right the way someone respectfully asked you to do it? Okay. A lot of people can't. Most people can. Okay. But you'd be surprised. I mean, I've gotten things. I'm going to tell you how I've gotten things, and you would be shocked and appalled, okay, at how things have arrived here. And again, most of the time when people do it wrong, their property is damaged. And I don't want to see, that's the last thing I want to see happen, because these things aren't like super cheap. You got to invest a little bit of money from your resources into getting this offer to you. So I want to see that maximized. I want that value maximized. Okay. So I have to put in here, I have to be hard-nosed about it. If you request any alternative shipping instructions from me, the ARC offer will be permanently revoked from you. I'm not interested in you suggesting to do it different. I have asked to do it like this for very valid and specific reasons, which I'll be getting into, and I don't want suggestions on how to do it different. Don't ask me if you could do it different. The answer is no, not from me anyway. If you find someone else who wants to give you the data, that's fine. You could do it from them however you want. You can negotiate. Don't negotiate with me about how to do it. I'm too busy for that. Okay? I have to have the directions that I have meticulously laid out followed, and then you'll get the ARC from me. Okay? If you do anything I've asked, specifically asked you not to do in the section coming later entitled Things Not to Do in these instructions, your drive will definitely be sent back to you empty. I've only had to do this a couple of times, folks. People have only blatantly ignored instructions to the point where I felt that it was so disrespectful that I had to send a couple of hard drives back blank and say, please follow the instructions, and then I will put the data back on your drive. And then I believe one out of the couple of people that I've had to do this with has sent back and done it right, and one didn't bother. Okay, it happened that rarely, but I will do it if someone's that disrespectful toward the offer. I will send back a blank hard drive, and I don't want to see that happen. Okay, you got to be pretty bad about like specifically doing things that I asked you not to do to have that happen. Okay, so let's continue. Here's the things you're going to need. Very, very simple. It looks like a big list. People overcomplicate this. It's so simple, it's almost stupid, folks. Okay, you need an external USB 3 hard drive. Okay, I'm going to show you one right here. Okay, this is a simple external USB 3 hard drive. This is a very popular one that a lot of people use. Okay, it's a WD. Okay, there's the USB 3 connector. All right, I'm going to show you all the components of all of this stuff. Okay, very simple. There's your USB 3 connector. Okay, that's about how big it is. The knowledge that everybody needs to understand in the world fits on one of these puppies. Okay, look at that. That's it. Okay, to show you comparison to a cell phone, here's my cell phone. Here's an A.R.K drive. Smaller than the cell phone. Okay, look at that. A little bit wider, but smaller in the vertical direction. Okay, that's it. And this is a 2 terabyte that I have here, I believe. Okay, all right. So you need the cable that came with the drive. Okay, don't assume that I have the cable. You include the USB 3 cable. Okay, so here's the USB 3 cable. Okay, very simple. I'm going to put it in the end of the drive. Okay, there we go. Now, I am going to plug this drive in and I'm going to show you what's on it. Okay, but I'm going to finish going through what you need. All right, I'm going to plug it in right now, actually. All right. Okay, so you need an appropriately sized, good quality, heavyweight cardboard shipping box. I just so happen to have one right here. Also, I printed out these instructions for my reference. Okay, I'm going to keep them right here because I'm going to need the last page. Okay, now here is my shipping box. Now, look at this. It's an appropriately sized shipping box. I'll close the edges to just show you what this is going to look like when it's all packed up. Okay, so here's the hard drive, here's the box. Obviously the box is a bit bigger, but it's an appropriate size. Okay, it's not like gigantic box. I've gotten A.R.K drives, I swear to God, folks, I've gotten A.R.K drives in boxes this big. I'm not kidding. I swear to God, I have gotten A.R.K drives wider than my body, like 2 of my body wide. Okay, that's how big A.R.K drives have shown up. Okay, so you don't need anything bigger than this. And when I say heavyweight cardboard, let me show you the difference, because it's going to be like kind of a funny comedy section here. Okay, this is cardboard. Okay, look at this. Look at this. Look at this sucker. Okay, this is a cardboard box. Take a look at it. I know it's a very alien object here, but this is like heavyweight cardboard. Look at the corrugation here. Okay, it's a thick piece of cardboard. That's not like card stock. This isn't like heavy printer paper. Okay, it's a cardboard box. Now, let me explain why I'm going over that like so heavily. Okay, apparently there is no such thing as cardboard in the entire continent of Europe anymore. Does not exist on the continent. Okay, every box I get from Europe or just about any foreign country anymore, they don't have this material anymore. It doesn't exist anymore somehow. Okay, this is part of Agenda 2030. This is part of the Club of Rome eugenics agenda. Okay, where those damn pesky humans killing all the trees. We can't have them making a sturdy cardboard box. So here I swear people have sent. Look, folks, I'm going to just grab this. I keep these over here in case I have an allergy issue. Okay, or go into any kind of a sneezing fit. This is a tissue box. This is tissue paper. Okay. All right, tissues, okay? Look at how thin this is, okay? This is like some thin garbage, okay? It dense, look at how easily it dents, okay? All right, this isn't cardboard. Yet, this is what people send me for the protection of a USB hard drive. Okay, an external USB 3 hard drive. Okay, your drive, you send your drive in this, it is going to be annihilated. It is going to arrive to me destroyed completely if you send it in this quality of cardboard. Okay, so-called cardboard. This isn't cardboard. This is card stock. Okay, this is cardboard. This is cardboard. Okay, so if you don't have access to actual cardboard because you live in the European Union, okay, go online and order from the United States or some other country where they still sell it, a cardboard box, okay? Because when I ask you to ship it in a heavyweight cardboard box, I mean a heavyweight cardboard box. I don't mean a tissue paper box, okay? So, you need good quality bubble wrap for the padding of the box. All right, so let me show you what I consider good quality bubble wrap. The padding of the drive inside the box. Very simple. This is all it is. It's just simple, medium-sized bubble or small-sized bubble wrap, okay? You don't have to send it in the big, huge, thick bubble wrap, okay? With the big, huge bubbles. You can if you want. No problem. I'll take that, okay? This is just simple packing bubble wrap, okay? I ask that it be the only packing material, and I'll get into that in a moment why, okay? So, you got your box, you got your bubble wrap, okay? You're going to need 2 labels, okay? You're going to need a prepaid shipping label to get your drive to me. That's one of these. And you're going to need from the same carrier, okay? Now, this has to be from a private carrier service. I don't accept the A.R.K from the Postal Service, from any country. You can't send it through the U.S. Postal Service. You have to go through UPS, FedEx, DHL, something like that, okay? A private insured carrier, because I've had issues with the Postal Service, especially when any kind of insurance claims have to be made. They take forever and a year in doing that. It's very bureaucratic, and I don't want to deal with that, okay? And I've had problems dealing with that, which is why I have discounted the Postal Service with the A.R.K drive, because it's someone else's property. I use the Postal Service when I send out items from the gift store, because if it gets lost, that's on me in shipping, and then I would just ship it again, okay? I don't want someone else's property getting lost and me having to fight the post office to get the insurance claim, okay? That's why all insurance claims are in the hands of the person who sends it. All tracking is done by them. We'll get into all of this, okay? So, you need 2 labels, 2 shipping labels. One for the direction from you to me, one for the direction back from me to you. So you just reverse the addresses. That's it. Okay? And you're going to put one on the outside of the box. You're going to put one inside the box. Very simple. Okay? Nothing complicated. All right? If you're outside the United States, so you need the 2 labels. If you're outside the United States, you do need to sign customs forms to get the box into the United States, and then you have to include in the box customs forms for me to put on the box to get the box back to you, okay? So you need return customs forms if you're in a foreign country outside of the United States, okay? If you're in the U.S., you don't have to worry about customs, okay? So I asked for 1 sheet of paper with your all of your information printed on it, and on that paper I want your I'll get into what that is, but it's personal information: name, address, phone number, email, etc. Okay. Then there's a donation in the form of cash, personal check, money order, okay, and a separate secure envelope. Okay, I've put a donation inside this envelope. We'll put that in the box. Okay, and then the last page of the A.R.K drive instructions, which is a checklist, which just goes through all of the items to make sure you did it all correctly, and then you could check each box. Just say, okay, I absolutely did it all correctly. I'm attesting to that. I put it in the box. Okay, so we're going to do all of this and show you how this works. Okay, that's all you need. It's a very, very simple process. So the shipping directions, and I'm going to show you what's on the A.R.K. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's do that now, and then we'll get into the shipping instructions. Okay, I'm going to switch out to the Finder here and show you what's on the A.R.K drive. Okay, so I've plugged the A.R.K drive in. All right, and full screen would probably work well here. Okay, so I'm going to go into the A.R.K, and you can see it's very neatly organized at the root level of the drive. Okay, and it basically just has 3 folders. Okay, and then a document that says recommended software. So this just shows you the software that I recommend for viewing the files on the A.R.K. Okay, basically it's like VLC player for playing video, iTunes for playing audio, MP3 files, and Adobe Reader for reading PDFs, and Adobe Digital Editions for reading EPUB documents. So what I'm going to do is go into each folder and just show you some of the contents that's on here. So I'm going to double click into the audio folder, and it'll take a moment to come up because there's a lot on it. So these are all individual folders of people or shows, okay, or topics, okay, and there's audio files in all of these individual folders. So I'm going to scroll through and you're going to see how extensive it is. Yep, let's make it full screen here, okay. I'll minimize my dock also, okay. So you could see all of these are individual folders full of audio files, okay? So let's go into one that I think might have some good data on it, okay? Here's an old podcast called Truth, Love, Freedom, which I used to listen to, okay? And here's a bunch of the episodes of the podcast in MP3 format. I'll switch to column mode, so you can see that's just one folder of audio on here. Okay, you could go in here. Here's stuff by Ron Paul, audio books. Here's the book and the Fed. Okay, you could go into another folder. Let's say here's some of Stefan Molyneux's works, and I only have a couple of things by him on there. Stuart Swerdlow, Sean David Morton, Robert Bouval. And basically there's just a ton of material. Here's interviews from Michael Tessarion, a ton of those. Lectures from Manly P. Hall, just an absolute ton of Manly P. Hall information. I broke it down into further categories. In some places there's the art for all of this, you get the idea, okay? It's endless, okay? And this is just audio. Okay, so whatonearthishappening.com/A.R.K. That's the URL. You could sign up to get it right there. You could fill in the form, get the shipping instructions, and you're off to the races. Okay, so let's go into books section. Okay, again, I'll show it by folder view here. All right, these are all topics. Okay, topics and authors. All right, so for example, I'll go into Osho here. All right. Here's a bunch of books and documents from Osho. Okay, and these are all individual books. Okay, so let's see. How about if we go into Richard Wetherill? This is a very great author on natural law that I highly recommend. Okay, and I'll just show you. Many of these are complete books. Most of them are, as a matter of fact. Here's his book, Be Right or Go Wrong. It's in PDF format. That's going to open in preview. I'm on a Mac right now. Okay, you could also, if you have Adobe Reader, you could open it in that or any other PDF viewer you happen to like. Okay, so and I'll just scroll through it a little bit. Okay, this is the entirety of the book. Okay, I'll bring it up in full screen here, just to show you could view it side by side like a book and page through it. Okay, I think people get the idea here. It's a wealth of information. Okay, so politics and conspiracy. I mean, tons and tons of books in this section. All complete. Okay. So here's even some by The Enemy. Okay, here's The Grand Chessboard by Zbigniew Brzezinski, who died last year. Okay, but we have The Enemy's white papers and documents in here. It's anything you could possibly imagine is on the A.R.K. Okay, and it's full books. I mean, look at this book about globalism, basically. Okay, so let's open another one. There are some EPUB files, not many, because at the time I was collecting these, PDF was really the main format. There's some David Icke material on there, Eustace Mullins, G. Edward Griffin, you name it, it's out there, okay? And, it's all digital, so, Occult Science Dictatorship. This is a pretty interesting book about mind control. So, and again, a lot of these are whole books. So 8,000 books total on the A.R.K. You could go through this forever, basically. Okay. So let's look at videos. And maybe we could play a couple of these as well. All right. So there's about 1,800 videos on this. Okay. It just scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and scrolls. Okay. So let's see. Here's one called Food Matters. Open that up. Turn up the volume there. And, we could scrub through it.
Symbol of the highest standard of living in this country today. These products come from farms and ranches despite distance and season. They are the result of a miraculous agriculture, maintaining farm fresh quality all
in 2 trials. This doesn't mean to say that the drug company can't do lots of other trials in which
just
it
showing
doesn't
you the
prove
general
to be more
quality of
effective.
some
It
of the
just doesn't
things
need to
that
publish those.
are on here. Here's some things from the Energy from the Vacuum series, which I found was a very enlightening series with Tom Bearden. And again, to even show you what is on here would take hours upon hours upon hours. Okay, so
authoritative, institutionalized type manner. We aren't.
This is an interview with Thomas Bearden about free energy.
1957, that the interaction with the vacuum.
And again, we have limited time to go through everything here, so I'm just showing you basically some of the contents of it. Tons of 9/11 stuff. There's some New Age stuff on there. There's a lot of occult stuff. I have a couple of episodes of Ancient Aliens there. Arthur C. Clarke's Mysterious World. I mean, you name it. It's on here. Here's some stuff by Carl Jung. A little bit older, smaller resolution there, but it scales pretty well. Here's a great documentary called Century of the Self, something I highly recommend people to check out.
Let's say a word about dreams. We all have thoughts which we never knew we had. They are too uncomfortable, too incompatible with our adult self to be remembered. Yet they are often disturbing, rumbling under the surface like lava in a volcano.
Überzeugung, dass Präsident Roosevelt und
The conservatives are quietly taking it away.
Philip Gould was crucial because...
Yeah, they became persons.
So I think you guys get the idea. Just look at how much these videos scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll. Okay? So this is years upon years upon years of data gathering. All on one drive. Okay? Broken down into categories in the audio and the book section, and then all of the videos in the video folder. It's all searchable too. So you could search the drive for anything that you happen to be looking for. Okay? Or you could just look by list. You want to look for occult information. Okay? You could just go here, occultism and esoteric knowledge. And there's no end to the books that are in there. All right, so not to belabor this, that's the A.R.K drive, folks. You know, it's what I say that it is, okay? And that's what I'm making available, because I think the best way of leveling the playing field is to proliferate this knowledge out there, so that it's not something that remains hidden, and it's not something that remains, like these taboo subjects or topics. We have to get it all into people's hands. And then they need to research it voraciously so that they can come to an understanding of it in their time. You know, this is part of why the world hasn't woken up. They haven't taken in enough knowledge like this. Okay, they certainly haven't built it into aggregated databases like this. Okay, and this is what I consider myself, an information aggregator. I bring it all together. I assemble it. I put the seemingly disparate pieces of the picture together for people. This is one of the biggest compliments I always get, okay, is that I help people to connect the dots and to see the big picture. And that's what the A.R.K will help you to do, okay? I'm going to go back to the instructions, okay? So we have all the things we need assembled right here, okay? I'm going to actually disconnect my drive because I am going to pack it up, okay? So let me get it disconnected from my computer. All right. Okay, so going back to the instructions. Okay, so I'm going to go through it and you're going to watch me pack this up, okay? And I'll show you how to do this effectively so it gets to me safe and it gets back to you safe, okay? Send me an external USB 3 hard drive with at least 1 terabyte of free storage space, okay? Let's assume this is blank. I believe it's a 2 terabyte drive, okay? The drive you send must have the ability to be attached to a computer via a USB 3 interface. That's what this cable is. You may send a standard hard drive, hard disk drive, an HDD, or a solid state drive, an SSD, as long as the drive you send is an external USB 3 drive. People ask me about USB-C. This is the new format. You can send a USB-C drive. Just make sure that you're sending me a cable that can plug into my computer via USB 3. Okay? So it could be USB-C to USB 3. Okay? But this end, you have to have on there, this blue end, this rectangular blue end, that goes into my hub that I use to copy the drives, okay? So my computers don't have the USB-C. They do, but I don't use them for the A.R.K because I copy the A.R.Ks on a USB 3 hub. So just send me, if you do have a USB-C drive, you can send that. Just give me the USB-C to USB 3 connector cable and we're good. Okay, so include the cable that came with the drive. Don't assume I already have a cable that will work with your drive. I will reformat all new hard drives to exFAT format. Now, for people who don't know what exFAT is, it's very simple. It's a format that covers all operating systems, basically. Okay, so Windows has NTFS, Mac has APFS, and the older Mac file system, I can't remember what it was called. I think it was just Mac OS Extended, okay? So basically, exFAT is just a format for all computers. It will work on Windows, it will work on Mac, and it will work on Linux. That's what this drive here is formatted to, okay? It has the exFAT format, so you could plug this drive into a Windows machine and it will work just like it did here. You could plug this into a Linux machine and it will work just like it did here on my Mac, on my desktop, okay? So, I'll reformat all new hard drives to exFAT to be cross-platform with Windows, Mac, and Linux operating systems. I will not reformat hard drives with any existing personal data on them. So, for example, if you send me a 2 terabyte hard drive and you have about 1 terabyte of data that you have on the drive already, I'm not going to reformat that drive. Whatever you send it to me, whether it be Mac, Windows, or Linux, I will use that drive just as you send it to me because I'm not going to delete your data. Okay, but if you send me a new hard drive with nothing written to it yet, I'm formatting it to exFAT. Okay, your drive must be sent from your home address to my address via a private insured carrier service. You cannot send the drive from anywhere else. You got to have the return address when you're sending it to me has to be from your home address. Okay, So you have to send it through an insured carrier service such as UPS, FedEx, DHL, or a similar company. I will not accept any packages sent via the U.S. Postal Service or any postal service. The return address for the initial shipment must be your home address, including your full name. Okay? The external packaging for your entire shipment must be a good quality, well padded, heavyweight cardboard box, not a bag or envelope. Now, folks, can I just show you something? Okay? And I swear I'm not lying to you. Okay? I'm going to take my little donation that I had put in this drive out of it for a second. Okay? This is the envelope I'm going to use for the donation. Okay? I have gotten hard drives like this in the past before I did these instructions. I swear I've gotten a hard drive like this. Okay? Hard drive in a letter envelope, licked it, sealed it up, and sent it to me with stamps like this in the mailbox. Totally destroyed upon arrival. DOA, dead on arrival. Okay? But yet, this is what people thought was acceptable. Imagine this. Like, they thought that was an okay idea to put a hard drive like this in an envelope, put some stamps on it, and send it to me. And that would arrive safely. Yeah. Okay? You get where I'm coming from with what I deal with, folks, on a daily basis? Do you get where I'm coming from? Okay? And I'm telling you, people have done wackier shit than that. Okay? But that is one of the wackiest that's been done. Okay? So you have to understand, this is what I deal with all the time. Okay? So you must pay for, so you must use, let's go back here. Not a bag or envelope. Use an appropriately sized box. We covered that. This means don't ship a small drive in a gigantic box. No need for refrigerator boxes to ship a little USB hard drive, okay? You must use only good quality bubble wrap to pad the shipping box and the drive. And the reason for that, folks, is I just want to make this clear to make you understand there is a reason, okay? Paper doesn't really effectively pad a box, okay? You need something that has cushion to it. Paper deforms. People want to crumble up newspaper and throw it in there. It doesn't work as well. Never has, never will, okay? The other thing people like to use is these cardboard styrofoam pieces. In addition to being really terrible for the environment, it's just... It always explodes everywhere, okay? I live in cramped quarters. I live in a half-row home in South Philadelphia. I don't have a mansion. I don't have a workspace. I work in my bedroom. I work in my living room. I work in my little office that's like a small bedroom, okay? I don't want to open a box and have it shatter popcorn styrofoam pieces all over the place. A lot of times when I'm working in cramped quarters, I have fans on, because it gets hot in here, especially in the summer, and then these pieces go all over the place. They go under things. I got to go hunting them down. It's like, I just want to keep it simple, Secondly, this works better. It's a statement of fact. Bubble wrap works better than any other padding material. I don't care who disagrees with that. It's the truth. That's how it works. Okay. You use this for a hard drive. Your hard drive's coming and it's going to be intact when it arrives, and it's going to be intact when it goes back. So just get some good bubble wrap. Okay. You must pay for both shipping and return shipping at the carrier's office at the time of your initial shipment. Okay. So that means when you're getting your shipping labels together, where did I put mine? They're over here somewhere. Yep, there you go. So when you're going to the carrier's office, right, you're going to tell them, okay, you're going to just tell them, I need, here's all the stuff from my box. I need you to print 2 of these, right? I need one with my return address and who it's going to, and I need the other with their addresses reversed. That's it. It's not that complicated. Now, let me tell you something. Everybody tells me, oh, this carrier can't do it, this carrier can't do it. They can all do it. I've gotten drives from almost every country on earth, from almost every carrier, okay? It can be done. You probably just got an asshole at the shipping office that day. That's probably what happened, okay? You might have to go to a different shipper. You might have to go back to the same shipper on a different day when you know that asshole isn't working. But let me tell you something. It can be done, okay? A lot of people saying, oh, what you're saying can't be done. You can't, they won't ship a return address label. Yes, they will. It can be done. The right computers can be pressed on the computer that the carrier representative is working at, and he can make it happen. Okay. Again, most of the time, they're, people just don't want to do their damn jobs and they're assholes and they don't want to sit and listen, that you want something that they don't get every day, that they don't see every day, that you want a return shipping label in the box and you want to put the one that's going to me on the outside. It's not that difficult, okay? You just have to communicate that to the hard head in the shipping office, okay? And a lot of times, you might draw the wrong person by a lot of the draw on that day, okay? And you may have to go somewhere else, or you may have to go to there on a different day when that person's not working and a nicer person's working. But I assure you it can be done, okay? So you pay for both. You attach your initial shipment label directly to the shipping box itself, and you include a prepaid return shipping label inside the shipping box. I will attach the return label to the same box, so you don't need a separate box inside of this box. I'm going to send your drive back in the same box that you shipped it to me, and I'm just going to take the return label out of the box. I'm going to put it over the initial label. That's all, okay? So this allows for shipping, tracking, and insurance to remain in your hands, okay? And any insurance claims, should anything happen to your drive, should they be necessary, can be handled by you, not me, because you paid for both labels in both directions, okay? Keep a record of your initial shipping and return shipping tracking numbers, because you alone are responsible for all package tracking. I do not keep any tracking numbers, okay? You can track and show where your shipping box is at on the way to me, and you could track it after I take it back to the carrier office on the way back to you. I don't do any tracking or keeping of tracking numbers. That's your responsibility. If you live outside of the United States, you will need to fill out the necessary customs declarations documents for shipping and return shipping, and include the return shipping customs documents inside the shipping box. We covered that. Include your name, mailing address, phone number, and email address, computer printed in a plain font on a piece of plain white paper inside the shipping package. Now, I'm so specific about that because you have no idea how people have sent me their name, address, and phone number, folks, and email address. Simple stuff, but they have scribbled it literally on like crumpled newspaper. I swear to God, people have taken crumpled newspaper and scribbled down, probably as fast as they could, their personal info and thrown it in the box. And it looks like chicken scratch that is barely decipherable, okay? Take your time, just print a small thing with your name, address, email, phone number. That's it, and put it in the box, okay? And put it in a plain font. We don't need calligraphy fonts that are, I have to run through an interpreter to understand what the lettering is. Use Times or Helvetica, something simple, okay? All right, so don't handwrite it for any reason. I ask this because people's handwriting is sometimes unintelligible. If you don't own a printer, ask a local friend to print this information for you, or print this information at a local copy center. Folks, see, I hope you don't get the wrong idea that I'm being like some stickler or demanding all this stuff. This is called common sense. This is called common sense life skills. And unfortunately, really, look, I don't want to insult anybody, okay? Because 95% of people do this right, okay? But you get people who they're sheltered from the world. They've never sent anything in a box through a shipping service. They've never wrapped something up in cardboard to protect it. They've never printed something out of a printer. This is the year 2019, folks. We're in the year 2019. If you don't understand how to pack something up in a box and print a little bit of information out, we're in a lot more trouble than I think. Okay? We're in way more trouble than I think the world's in, and I think it's in pretty bad, deep trouble. Okay? But again, this is about personal responsibility. This is about getting involved, doing something, doing it right, doing it respectfully. Okay? That's all. All right? So, include a personal donation for my time and effort. You are not paying me for the A.R.K. The A.R.K is not for sale. This is a free offer of data that has been assembled over years through my, internet downloading over the years. Okay? And I'm just sharing information. That's it, freely. All right? What I ask for a donation for is for what on earth is happening, the effort that goes on here. Okay? That's what the donation is for. The effort is to keep me going so that I can get equipment, so that I can eat, so that I can pay the bills here and the bills for what I do here. Okay? So, The donation can be in the form of U.S. cash, personal check, or U.S. dollars made to me, because you can't make it out to what on earth is happening. Don't do that. I will not be able to cash anything if you send a check or money order. You have to make it out to me. Mark Passio is my full legal name, okay? Regardless of what people think of that, that is my birth name, okay? And the name that I can get a check cashed with or get a money order cashed with, okay? So, and just put this in a regular secure envelope that you would mail any letter in, okay? Which is what this is. All right, so I put a donation in there, and the secure envelope just means it has some of this, pattern there, so you can't see what's in there. It looks opaque. You can't look through it. Okay, that's it. All right, so all donations are non-refundable, 1 cent, even if you fail to follow instructions and an empty hard drive is returned to you. So in other words, just don't do it wrong. Take your time, triple check everything, do it right. Everything will work out smoothly. Print the A.R.K drive checklist, which is the last page of the shipping instructions. And that's that page that I showed you before. Okay, check off each item on the checklist to ensure you followed all the instructions, and include the checklist inside of the shipping package. If you don't have a printer, ask a local friend to print the checklist for you, or print the checklist at a local copy center. Okay, now here's the important part. All right, we're going to get to your calls in about 15 minutes, so I'm going to wrap this up. But things not to do. Read this very carefully. If you do anything I specifically ask you not to do in this section, your drive's going to be sent back to you blank, and we don't want that to happen. Don't send me these things. An internal hard drive. Don't send me an internal or bare hard drive. The hard drive has to be, in one of these type housings or enclosures, okay, with a USB 3 cable coming out the back of it, okay, that can connect out the back of it. So don't send me an internal hard drive. Don't send me any flash drives or thumb drives. Okay, they're not big enough for the A.R.K. Don't send me a NAS device, a network attached storage. For those that know what that is, I don't accept them. Don't send them for the A.R.K. offer. Okay, don't send any hard drive which lacks a direct USB 3 interface. Don't send any hard drive with less than 1 terabyte of free storage space. And again, that means, if the hard drive says 999 whatever megabytes, gigabytes, formatted, that's fine. It's a 1 terabyte hard drive, okay? We know what that means. It doesn't have to say in your computer interface that it's over 1 terabyte, okay? If it's a 1 terabyte drive, it will be suited to the task. I'm going to show you a drive that you should use, okay? So briefly, I'm going to come out of here and go into my web browser, and I'm going to go to Amazon, and I'm going to type in here 1 terabyte external hard drive. Here we go. 1 terabyte external hard drive. Okay. Look at Amazon's choice here. It's a Toshiba. I get these a lot. I would say I get Western Digital the most. I get Seagate second, and I get Toshiba third. Okay. All of them are acceptable. All of them work as long as it's 1 terabyte USB 3. Look at this first drive, $47.99, $48. Okay. Very, very affordable. This is probably the drive here that I get the most. My Passport, 1 terabyte from Western Digital. Okay. It works very well. Okay. Here's a 2 terabyte for only $60. Seagate Backup Slim. I get this very often for the A.R.K. $44.99, $45 hard drive. Okay. Works very well for the A.R.K. Even thinner than the one I have on my desk. Okay. The Seagate expansion here works very well. Any of these will work as long as it's 1 terabyte external USB 3. That's all you have to know. So any of those will work for the purpose of the A.R.K. drive. Okay. I'm going to go back to the shipping instructions. Okay. So do not forget to include the USB 3 cable that came with your drive. Do not use the postal service to ship or return ship your drive. Only ship and return ship your drive via a private insured carrier service. Do not have a drive shipped to me directly from a retail outlet or online store. A lot of people want to do this, especially if they're from Europe. Okay. I get a lot of people who don't want to follow the instructions from Europe, sadly. Europe and Canada, it's very difficult to get people from those locations to just respectfully go by the procedure that has been laid out because it's very convenient for me. They want me to pander to their convenience often. I notice that dynamic. I'm sorry, I have to say it. I have to. Okay, I'd be remiss in not saying this. I don't know why that's the case. Maybe it's in the culture. Okay, but I'm just saying this doesn't usually happen from people that I ask from the United States. This is my offer. I'm willing to do it this way. Please don't ask me to do it any other way because this works for my schedule. Okay, and it keeps things simple and uncomplicated for me. Okay, and most people from the U.S., they hear that. They hear what I'm saying. They get it. There's a connect. But when maybe it's a language thing, I don't know. But I noticed that Canadians and Europeans are loath to just say, okay, man, I'll do it your way. You know, they want to persist in trying to get you to budge and accept it other ways. And every time I've done that, a problem has happened. Every time I budge on these instructions, a problem happens. I have to either spend hours trying to fix the problem myself or give it to my assistant, Leah, who I need working on other things to help me. Okay? So you are taking, by not following this and you sending a drive, you are taking me or my assistants here at What on Earth is Happening off work we need to be doing. You got to understand how small of an operation this is. This isn't some huge, gigantic, monolithic, corporation. This is all just individual volunteers that do the work here at What on Earth is Happening. Okay, we are not any kind of big company. Okay, it's all done by me and personal assistants. That's it. All right. So, going back to the instructions, don't ship a drive to me from anywhere other than your home address. Don't get your drive first and get everything together and then take it to a carrier office and ship it. Don't buy a drive and ship it to me from a retail outlet like Amazon or something similar. Don't ship me a drive from anywhere other than your home address. The return address for the initial shipment must be your home address. You want me to send it anywhere else after that? I really don't care. That's on you. But I need to know where it's coming from, and your name has to be on the return address label. I don't want to see some company name. I want your name to be on the return address label when I get the drive. Okay? I hope people understand that. All right? Don't ship the drive in a bag, envelope, or cheap, flimsy, lightweight cardboard for any reason. Drives have arrived damaged by shipping them this way. The external packaging for your entire shipment must be an appropriately sized, good quality, heavyweight cardboard box. Do not wrap the box in an external shipping bag for any reason. I've noticed that this is some kind of a popular thing with these carriers. They have these shipping bags. I don't know what, maybe it makes the shipping cheaper if it goes in one of their bags. You know what happens? Okay? The item goes in the bag and then it gets jostled back and forth because somebody picks it up from this end and then it slides to this end. Then somebody picks it up to this end. Boom! It goes down to the bottom of the bag on this end. And lateral jostling is the worst way, the easiest way to damage a hard drive. Okay? This hard drive right here will take a harder hit in this direction or in this direction than it will from any of the sides. You hit a hard drive from the sides hard enough, you're going to destroy the drive. Okay? That's how the platters in the drive are aligned with the magnetic arm. Okay? And if you disalign them, the data on the drive is going to be damaged or lost. And you want to damage them real fast? Keep banging the outside of the hard drive, okay, on the sides especially, okay, because then that lateral jostling is eventually going to dislodge those platters or misalign them. And that's what happens when you put the drive in an external plastic shipping bag. It goes back and forth as people pick it up from, the side of the bag instead of actually lifting the box up with two hands like this, okay? That's why I want it only in a box, okay? Again, this is thought through. I've thought it all through. There's reasons for why I ask for specific details, okay? Don't use any amount of paper or any amount of styrofoam popcorn pieces to pad the box. We went over that. Do not add any other packing material other than good quality bubble wrap to the shipping box. Such material may shift or deform, causing the drive to be damaged. You must use only good quality bubble wrap to pad the shipping box and the drive. Do not put any amount of tape on the bubble wrap padding your drive. Now, I ask this because it's going in two directions. So don't tape the bubble wrap when you send it to me. I may tape it if I feel it necessary, sending it back to you. Usually I don't even do that because if you do pack it right, I don't have to. I may put a piece of tape on there, okay, to send it back to you because that's the end of its journey. Okay, it's going from you to me, then back from me to you. I don't want it done because when I get your drive and I open up the bubble wrap, if I have to cut this with scissors or a razor blade, then I destroy the bubble wrap and it's less effective packaging for the return trip. Okay, that's the whole point. So only use good quality bubble wrap. Don't tape the bubble wrap. Don't send me a waybill or order form. Okay, this is like stuff that I have to stand in line to get processed. You want a shipping label or document with the drive. Okay, so you do not want to put a waybill or order form that I have to go get processed in a line at FedEx or UPS or DHL. Okay, that kills me. Okay, because half the times these places are super busy, and then I have to go in there and I have to wait for like an hour to get an actual shipping label for the box. That's the last thing I want to spend my time doing. I want to slap a label on the box and I want to take it to the office. I want to say prepaid, drop it on the counter and go. Okay, and that's what I can do with this shipping method. Okay, so it has to be able to be affixed to the box for immediate return shipment. Waybills and order forms require processing, forces me to stand in long lines. Make sure you tell the company shipping representative, I don't want to send a waybill or order form. I want a shipping label or a shipping document that can be affixed to the outside of the box for immediate return shipping, which requires zero processing. Don't allow anybody else to pack the box for you, including the shipping representative. Don't allow anyone else to pack, add to, or subtract from, or seal the shipping box. You have to do all of that yourself, okay? Because I don't want an excuse, oh, this wasn't done right, the shipping guy did it. I'm assuming you did it because I've asked you to do it, okay? You ship and seal the box, pack and pad and seal the box yourself. Don't let anybody else do that because you're responsible for this, okay? Don't handwrite the personal information I've requested that you print out. Okay, don't leave any personal information out that I've specifically requested that you include. A lot of people, they don't want to put their email address or they don't want to put their phone number. I'm telling you, if you want this offer from me, you need to fill out your full name, your full home address, your email address, and your phone number. If you aren't willing to share those pieces of personal information with me, you cannot get the A.R.K drive from me. Okay, don't send the A.R.K. Don't send non-US currency because I can't go and get that exchange. That also takes a long time, okay? And often detracts from what is actually sent, okay? Because they take a cut when they do that. So if you're going to send cash for the donation part, only send US dollars. Don't send euros, pounds, Canadian dollars, or any other foreign currency. And don't send MoneyGrams. They're not very popular in this area of the country. You have to go like to the ends of the earth to get these things cashed. It's been a nightmare when people have sent MoneyGrams. I don't want them. It's unnecessary. A postal money order works beautifully. A cash works beautifully. And a personal check works beautifully. So don't send MoneyGrams. I don't want them as donations. Okay? So if you do anything I've specifically asked you not to do, the drive will be sent back to you empty. I do not want to have to send you a blank hard drive back. That will kill my heart to have to do that. Okay, and as I've said, I've only done it in some of the most, in some of the situations where the person just didn't listen to what I was asking for. Okay, so just triple check everything. If you have questions, you can write to me and request clarification. Don't ask for any difference in shipping method, but if you say, I don't understand this, can you clarify on this part and explain what this means? Fine, no problem, okay? And I'll let you fill it out to get my actual address, okay? If you, your drive will get back to you within 2 to 3 weeks, often very much faster than that, okay? I usually don't mess around on this stuff. I deal with it quickly, okay? Here's the shipping checklist. All of the things in there are on there, so you just check them off one at a time. So now let's pack one up, okay? So I'm going to get the hard drive, okay? Let's pack the actual drive first, okay? So I like to just wrap the drive like this, very simply. If you watch what I'm doing here, I'm going to lay it on the bubble wrap and just go around somewhat tight. Yeah, I'll try not to hit my mic when doing this, folks. All right, a little tight here on the desk. All right, just wrap it give it a few wraps, okay? We want some thick padding on it, okay? When it's wrapped up, it should just look like that, okay? That's not going to go anywhere in a box this big, okay? So I'm going to open up these flaps. And I'm going to turn this down a little bit like this, and I'm just going to shove this into here. It's nice and tight toward the sides of the box, okay? So this can't go anywhere. I'll show this to you. That's not going anywhere. All right, look at that. Nice and tight to the outside of the box, okay? All right, here's my return label. Here's my donation, okay? Here's my personal info. Here's my shipping checklist. All right. Got them all together. Folding them up. That package is going to look like this. Very simple. Put it right there in the top of the box. Okay. I'm going to get some other bubble wrap. Right. So here's everything in there. Right. I'm going to get some other bubble wrap. Fold this. Put it right there on top. So it's nice and tight. I got some packing tape. I'm going to seal this bad boy up. That's the last piece of tape. Okay. Well, I'll do it one more. Okay, here's my shipping label. I'm putting it right on top here. You can put it on the side too. Side works good because then I could just cut the top of the box without having to cut through the label. Gotten pretty good with this shipping tape over the years, folks. I'm an expert with this stuff. God knows I have sealed up enough boxes and envelopes. A.R.K drive ready to ship, okay? A.R.K drive ready to ship right there, okay? When I take this down to my local shipping office, you know what I have to do? I motion over to the people, prepaid, drop it on the counter, and I'm out the door. That's how convenient that is for my schedule. Okay? That's it. You send it to me like that, I get it. I fill it up, put that return label on there, take it to the office. It's on the way back to you. And I don't dilly-dally with these folks. I'm quick getting them out. People can attest to that who have gotten them. Okay? So that's how easy it is. I want to just go back to my slides very briefly to just go over a couple more quick things, okay? So that's the A.R.K offer, okay? Let me hit play here. You saw all the instructions and what it takes to do it. It's very simple, okay? One of these has the knowledge of the world on it that you need to understand, that everybody needs to understand, okay? It's probably, nothing is more effective that you could do for really deeply getting that knowledge into your mind than getting one of these, okay? So to get it, you go to whatonearthishappening.com/A.R.K or just hit the A.R.K button or tab at whatonearthishappening.com. Okay? And folks, this is what this is ultimately about. This offer is a mutual offer of respect, because ultimately what's on this drive isn't just external knowledge, isn't just external information. This is all knowledge of self. And that's what respect is all about. It's about looking at the self. The word respect comes from the Latin re, the prefix meaning again, and the verb spectare, which means to look at, okay, or to see. So this means to look at oneself again, to take another look at oneself, to discover what is really there, okay? That's what research is all about. We are searching to find our true selves. And let me tell you something, if you really take this offer seriously and you take it with respect, you will discover the true self and you will discover the truth about what is taking place in our world. It is all about looking firmly in that device right there, which is going to ultimately tell us everything that we need to know. And the A.R.K is a total reflection of that in the realm of seemingly external knowledge. So that is the presentation for today on the A.R.K drive, folks. I hope you have enjoyed it. And I hope you will take me up on the A.R.K drive offer. because I think it is one of the best things that you could do. And then you could re-gift this to anybody. You could give the ARC drive to anybody you want, family members, friends, anybody that you talk to. Okay, you're free to share it forward. Okay, this is just all public info out there that has been assembled that I'm just making freely available for others to research. That's all the ARC drive offer is. And I think when people edify their minds with the kind of knowledge that is on this simple, small device, we will see the playing field get leveled, and we will see things move toward the direction of real freedom and real anarchy in our world, instead of dwelling in the ignorance that keeps us collectively enslaved. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening, and we're going to go to your calls next. So very quickly, I just want to say thank you to everyone who donated. Many donations came in, and people really helped with the technology. This is so important. I just want to reiterate this one more time before we go to the callers, okay? Because if you go to whatonearthishappening.com/donate, you'll see there's a technology needs list. Okay. And this is one of the best ways, I think, for people to donate, because you actually see what you're contributing. You get the object from the wish list and contribute that directly here to the offices here. And then, we can actually use that as soon as it arrives. And I just want to thank everybody who donated technology these past couple of weeks, because you have allowed things to become more streamlined with the broadcast and with things that I do here. And for that, I am very grateful, because that helps. That it makes things happen faster, okay? Where I don't have to take the time and the laborious effort that is required when I don't have the right technology. So I think it's one of the best ways. I just wanted to reiterate that people can contribute to the effort that takes place here at What on Earth is Happening, is to take a look at the donation page, especially the technology needs list, because it is all put directly to work toward the true great work of truth, love, and freedom, and spreading the message of true freedom to all. So thank you so much to those who have already contributed. Okay, let's go to calls, okay? And anything that people want to talk about, I'd particularly love to hear from people who have gotten the ARC from me and see what they think, if anybody like that is available on the line, okay? So let me just get set up for the call-in for Discord and get my headset on to do that. All right, I'm going to unmute myself in Discord. All the callers should be able to hear me right now, okay? And you can join in on Discord at whatonearthishappening.com/show, okay? Right underneath the player, you will see a link that says click here to call in live. So if you want to join us in the call-in room, you can click there to call in live. So let's go to some callers here, okay? Let's go to Ethan Strand. Ethan Strand, you are live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome, Ethan. Are you with us?
Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Ethan, I can, loud and clear.
Awesome. Yeah, this is my first time using the platform, so glad to hear that it's working correctly.
Great. Let me ask you something real quick before you get to your question. What do you think of Discord as a call-in platform? I'd like to get some feedback from people who are using it to call in, because I think it's been working great so far. We had a little bit of a snag just technologically on my computer on the first week, but it generally seems to be a good way of taking calls, and we could do it from anywhere in the world with no call-in fees.
Yeah, well, honestly, I haven't used it yet, so I don't really have any commentary on that from personal experience.
Okay. So you just installed it just to call into the show. You're not familiar with the platform.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. I literally just installed it right at the beginning of the broadcast today. So
the experience was easy, though, right?
Yeah, it seemed relatively easy to me. I mean, I downloaded the thing and kind of spent some time going back and forth between your website and the app to get it all situated, and seems fine to me. It wasn't that difficult.
Okay, just felt like asking. So what do you have for us today?
Well, as somebody who just recently went through your process of receiving the ARC, I can say that the shipping instructions that you've lined out, they appear pretty not necessarily complex, but it seems like a lot when you look at the PDF document, right?
Right.
But it's really quite simple.
Yes.
As long as people follow your first note at the very top on the first page to pay attention and be focused, then
read through it thoroughly. That's all. There
Yeah.
is a lot of elaboration, but I feel like that language was necessary. This was like a refinement process over a couple of years, because as we learned more things that could go wrong in shipping a drive back and forth from anywhere in the world, we repeatedly refined the instructions to try to make the language as clear as humanly possible to anyone reading it, what I did and did not want. You see how quickly we packed one up. It wasn't that difficult to, follow the instructions. It's not a lot. It seems like more than it is in words, but when you actually do it in the real world, it's just a few things in a box. That's all it is.
Yep. Yeah. I have to admit, I haven't opened up the drive yet on my computer to make sure that everything was processed accurately. I'm pretty sure I got not an empty drive back, hopefully, but I actually had it sent to, I processed it through a different address. Currently, I'm technically homeless, and so I had it processed using my mother's address in Montana, and she has it right now. I'm going to be going to visit her pretty soon, but it did arrive back to her.
It was fine.
So
yeah, I'm pretty sure I remember it, and it was fine. So when you do get it, I'd be interested in getting some feedback from you via email if you want to let me know what you think. A lot of people do that, and a lot of people are astounded when they see what's on it. They can't believe the amount, how much it is. So, that's something that I'd like to hear back from people. Like, what did you think of the A.R.K? How are you using it? What did you think of the selection of data? How has it helped you so far? So if we encounter anybody that has gotten an A.R.K today, we'll ask them that. So do you have anything else for us?
Well, sure. I'd actually like to take the opportunity to just say thank you personally very much for doing the great work. And if you don't mind me telling a little story.
Sure. I'll say you're welcome, and I appreciate that. Thank you. So, and go ahead and tell your story.
So, I just a little over a year ago, probably about a year and a half ago, I was listening to Max Egan's show regularly. Still am. His
one
Surviving
of my
the
favorites.
Matrix show.
Yeah.
And that's how I got turned on to you. I watched listened to his interview with you, and I think you'll really appreciate this. So I want to tell the story. I listened to that interview, and initially, I remember it very distinctly. I was in the kitchen doing some stuff and listening, and I almost kind of fell victim to the emotional mind control, because I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, this guy Mark is really intense, and not sure how I feel about his delivery,
Right.
But I listened to what you were saying, and you said one thing that just really struck me, and I was like, wow.
And what was that?
That was profound. I can't remember exactly what it was. I'd have
Okay.
to go back to the interview and listen to it again.
Got you.
To really pinpoint it. But then I kept listening, and you said another thing, and then another thing that was just all really profound, and it just I remember it striking me and thinking to myself, wow, like this guy is so on point. And from that point on, I initially from there, I went on to checking out a couple of your presentations. I think I did kind of the opposite of what you recommend people do, in a sense. I went right to your cosmic abandonment presentation. And I've already been, kind
it's
of
more the end of the rabbit hole. That's the bottom of it, as opposed to just you didn't take the gentle entry approach.
Not entirely, but because of the amount of research and study that I'd already done through other researchers, I was prepared for that. And from there, then I went on to discovering your podcast, and this actually works out pretty well for me synchronistically, that you're just getting back into the live broadcasting game. And I recently, about a month ago, finished going through all previous 196 broadcasts or podcasts. And so this is good timing for me. But
excellent.
I just wanted to tell you that story about...
The ARK will arrive at a very fortuitous time then, because this can take your knowledge base into a whole wider area.
Yeah, I'm excited to check it out. I'm a little concerned it might be overwhelming for me at first, just the amount of data that's on there, but I'll work through it.
Ethan, thank you so much for the call. I really appreciate it. And it is overwhelming at first. That's true, because people don't know where to begin. And what I'll say about that is just jump into an entry point that you feel comfortable with and that you want to know more about, that you already have an interest in. Trust me, it will build, and there will be other jumping off points that will present themselves. You will be synchronistically led from one thing to the next when you get into delving into the ARK drive. I guarantee you that. Let's see, who else can we go to? Let's go to Twin Cities Anarchist. Twin Cities Anarchist, you are live on What on Earth is Happening. We have a lot of background noise happening. If you could use...
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. What do you have for us today?
Hey, Mark, thank you for having me.
Sure.
I just want to start by saying, I did get the chance of coming down to Free Your Mind 5.
Yes.
Come see you, and of course there was you were off at Connie's Rick Rack. I had the chance to come see you there. Picked up the ARK. I had a wonderful time to hang out with Max Hagen and Derek Bros and all that. So it worked out great.
That's great. What did you think of the ARK drive?
Oh well, I mean, at first it was overwhelming. The amount of information, and then just attempting to digest it in a way that was applicable in the real world, I struggled with at first. Mm-hmm. But after a while, it really started to make sense. And so to that point, I was really intrigued by your call to action. And so I really wanted to take it out. So this last Thanksgiving, I took up a pastor about the fake-ass Christian thing, and it went really well. And one of the most effective arguments I used was, it was that mainstream Christianity is trying to make, God in an image of them, and give all these human attributes to God, like a vengeful God, a happy God, and all this. And I said, no, you're disrespecting the idea of God by putting these things on there. God is law. And that was really effective method for that approach.
Interesting.
In a way, saying that your idea that all these emotions and all these kind of human characteristics we try to give to God through the mainstream Christian faith is, in a way, disrespectful towards their idea. But so I'll just be quick. But I wanted to talk about an issue I had. So with government, so what we're searching for really is decentralized government, which is really governance, right? So in my household, I have no government, but I sure as hell have governance, right? So I have rules that I follow, and I expect those to follow within my household. And so the issue really for me wasn't government, but if you take it one step further, it's hierarchical institutions, because that is really all government is. It's another hierarchical institution. So I started writing a book. Yep, go ahead.
I'm going to stop you there. Even institutions with hierarchy don't necessarily imply the authority that government assumes over other people. So yes, it is a characteristic of all the institutions of the world that they are built upon hierarchy and often compartmentalization. But I think what makes government specifically a very bad fundamental axiom to accept, and I'm talking about the externalized form of it, of course, not when we're saying we're seeking governance of ourselves through rules that are in alignment with natural law. Okay, we're talking about behavioral rules that are actually set forth in creation that we need to understand and then align our behavior to. That's not the institution of government that has this underlying axiomatic belief in authority that people have over other people, such that laws can be made that they can institute and then force people to obey them, even if it's based upon their opinion or whim. So that's where I think it differs from other compartmentalized or hierarchically based institutions. But I wouldn't disagree with you that in general, once you start organizing things like that, you are going to get a corruption within them that is going to have people seeking power over others, because they don't see people as having the same inherent natural rights as them. Now, again, that doesn't mean that in a company you can't set up, well, this person is the executive who is going to make the major decisions. Like, for example, what on earth is happening? If I don't want something going out or to the public, it doesn't go out. I make the final decision about what gets shared with the public because it has my name on it, so I have to be responsible for that. So is there a level of hierarchy? There is, but it's not authoritarian based. It's not based in authority. So that's where I think, it's slightly different from what you said there. But in general, I agree with you that once you start setting up everything in society based on hierarchy, and especially compartmentalization, where one group of people has no idea what the other are doing or for what purpose, then you're going to go down the path of, there's going to be secrecy, and there's going to be, people trying to tell other people what to do as far as how to live, and it's going to descend into the whole, power corrupts absolutely.
Right,
argument.
Exactly. Yeah. So through the centralization, right? That's my point. Is that through the centralization, right? Because the zenith point of that pyramid is sought after by the psychopath who wishes to have power over the public and uses the institution as the vehicle for usurping that power.
That is
right.
Correct.
So I've started writing a book. So finally just stopped listening to your podcast and just started writing. And so this is my basic argument. Let me know what you think. So. Mm-hmm. Hierarchical and therefore centralized institutions use labels to coerce the thoughts, emotions, and therefore actions of the individual to siphon power from the public to the institution, thereby using the institution as a vehicle to usurp the right of every individual to live free of coercion. My argument requires the reader accept that all individuals have the absolute right to live free of coercion,
That's right.
that living free of coercion is possible, and that we as a public have a moral duty to live free of coercion. Right, so it's through the labeling, right? Because we accept these labels from the institutions, and that allows us to. So labels function. They dehumanize the person in the same way institutions function to kind of remove the responsibility from the individual carrying out the act of the institution against the public. Right, so a leader in this view, someone with quote unquote leadership qualities, is someone who is able to carry out the goals of the institution at all costs to the public, and are therefore promoted within the hierarchy.
Yeah,
right?
And that is why we have to make truth our number one priority. We have to make morality and principles our priority, even over profit or moving an agenda forward in any kind of an institution. So I would certainly agree with that kind of compartmentalization and hierarchy puts people in more of a psychopathic frame of mind, where they are just trying to put forward the goals of the institution for the ends in and of themselves, and they're not looking. It does dehumanize people over time. Look at what the tech giants have done. I mean, there's the perfect example of what you've just laid out. I mean, Apple started as this upstart company saying, we're going to change the world. We're going to give people a voice. We're going to let them be creative through technology and see what they're going to do to put out new ideas out there to people. And now they've turned into a juggernaut of censorship. And they're control freaks as far as how hard they lock down their software and hardware. The model of their app store too is so draconian and just locked down. It's like, I have begun using technology on the Mac/Apple side of things, and I'm tied in some ways to the OS, the operating system. I ran Hackintoshes for years because I hated Apple so much that I was just building Hackintoshes and running, a Mac OS on that platform because I don't like Apple as a company. It's a considerable amount of work that the average individual is not going to be able to upkeep. and it just became too complicated even for me. It's like, I don't want to deal with those type of complications, and so through donations, I have actually started using a couple of Macs again. I'd like to move away from the platform, but I don't really see many other options. I want to do a whole show where I talk about open source software that I'm a big fan of. I love free and open source software. I think the model is beautiful. However, I want to talk about why it's so inadequate, why the community isn't taking off as it should. And that's because it's not good enough, quite frankly, and I'll just say it plainly, flatly out there to the whole open source community, and people who suggest alternatives to things like YouTube. It's like half the platforms out there that are saying, oh, we're going to be the new alternative. They suck. They suck bad. They don't just suck a little bit. They suck badly. Okay. I mean, they really are not up to par, and people can't just think, well, we're going to like lay out this crappy thing and it's going to like then become the new big thing. It's not going to work like that. You have to draw people to it because you have the best thing out there, and it's like, that's where the open source community is lacking. It doesn't have enough people involved. It doesn't have enough resources behind it, and this is when we want to do something that's just free, you get into the area of what's the motivation. People have to have some motivation there, and their consciousness level isn't high enough to say, I'm going to get involved in this to improve it, because this is what we are here to do, is improve the human condition and the human ability to create things. Okay? If that's not the underlying motivation, is the betterment of humanity through creativity and innovation, as all innovations should be, if that's not your driving motivation to create that new innovation, you're doing it wrong. You're not only doing it wrong, you're doing it inadequately and substandardly. Okay, so I need to do a whole show probably at some point, maybe bring in some free and open source software advocates and, talk about this dynamic and how we can improve upon it. But anyway, let's go to another caller. Let's see here. Let's go to Gary C. Gary C., you're live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Sure.
I just, I too want to start out just saying thank you for all the work you do. I was turned on to your work many years ago. I started out with the natural law seminars, and then I jumped into your podcast starting at number 1.
Great.
And I just got my A.R.K drive a few months ago, and I find it invaluable. I sent you a 2 terabyte drive.
Yes.
And that way, as I come across things, I can add to it myself.
Yes.
And it, I mean, it's just invaluable. I have a long commute every day, so I copy stuff onto thumb drives and I'm listening.
You're doing it right.
Through my commute. And I travel with it constantly. Anytime we're on the road.
So much audio I listened to when I had a job in central New Jersey and I commuted every day over an hour each way. I would listen to so much audio that way. It's such a great way of getting it into your mind. Mobile listening devices, this is what the phone should be used for. You take that data off of that drive, put some on the phone, listen on your way to work and back home, or during your lunch break. That's what I did every day for years. Okay, it's a great way of doing it. And Gary, I just want to say, it's like you're the third caller I've taken, and each person has gotten an A.R.K from me. So maybe the topic drove a lot of people into the call-in room, but it's amazing that each person that I've already taken a call from has gotten the A.R.K. I've sent thousands of these out probably by this point, a couple thousand, I would say. Number is at. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just something. I mean, I last year I was listening to some of the podcasts, and I think there was a couple of different podcasts where you mentioned it, and then I went to that part of the website, and I just said, I need to get this. I need to get this for myself.
That's great.
And when you were in Phoenix, I was so disappointed that I wasn't able to work my schedule around so that I could to join you and Ivan.
Yes, at the Truth Mind Reality event.
Truth Mind Reality event.
That was a great one.
I see Ivan was on the list anyway earlier. I see him there. And I also want to thank Ivan, everybody that's helping you out. It is just invaluable to have this information at your fingertips
Well, Gary,
and be able to go through this.
I very much appreciate it. Thank you so much for the call. Thanks for, attesting to, the transformative power of the ARC drive, if you will, for getting this information into people's hands and helping them to research on their own time. That's what it is all about. And people like Gary, who have taken me up on the offer, they, are seeing the value in it. So, and that's what I'm trying to bring to the people of the world through this offer. That's what it is all about. Get them to at a higher level of awareness, and get them on the spiritual battlefield, if you will, to do the work of helping others to go through that transformative process. So let's see, who else do we have here on the call-in room? Let's go to Remy the Sage. You're live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome, Remy.
Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Good. Yeah, first just wanted to, thank you, as I'm sure you're getting a lot more these days with the new call-in platform. It seems like a lot of people are in there. So I'm a musician. I'm an educator.
Great.
I teach music primarily. But one thing that I found really of use recently is the Trivium method, which is something that I actually implement into my use of communicating music theory.
Great.
So,
how has this been working or changing things for you?
Honestly, it's almost like it kind of information sort of in a more intuitive sense. Like it seems like it kind of clicks with the students when I give them I try to lay it out to them in a way that like studying or practicing is the whole process, as you laid out, the chronological process of it, it's like you take it in, you internalize it, so you understand really what the music is within you, and then you put it into action, and that's how you create really a harmonious relationship. And I will often tell them, that's the way life is, and like, the things that we do have to be really internalized and understood and acted upon in accordance, so that it would be something that that is in true accordance with the world around us. And I like to slip in a little bit of the I honestly tell them on a regular basis, I'm like, the government is not a necessary component of life. And
sure.
And
the Trivium method can work for learning almost anything and teaching almost
absolutely.
anything. It will apply to just about any human endeavor in any area of our lives. We can apply it to health. We can apply it to education methods. We could apply it to cooking. We could apply it to art. We could apply it to technology. Just about anything. I'm glad that you looked into the Trivium process in particular, because that's really what I laid out there in that whole reality, manifestation 101 slide. That's the Trivium right there. Knowledge, understanding, wisdom is another way of wording the Trivium threefold process. And that's how we're creating what we create here on Earth. What are we taking in through information, the quality of that information? Are we understanding what it all means when we bring it all together? And are we applying that actively in our lives in the right way for the betterment of ourselves and others? So thank you for doing that work.
Absolutely. Thank you for being an intro. I had one question sort of in regards that is in relation to that. It's something that that's kind of been on my mind a lot lately, as far as like a lot of kind of like the modern, what I would see like the more recent, like what seemed to be obvious PSYOP movements, in regards to like what is like the term, the flat earth, and I'm sort of like taking myself back for a moment, and I started to really look at this, and I'm like, okay, well, what do I really know about the realm that we live in? And so I'm kind of at this point where like I'm trying to reapply my understanding of the physical world that we're in regards to, are we on a globe? I mean, because the reason why I'm starting to really question this is like, when you really look within, like, for example, the inconsistencies of NASA's output of information, and just in regards to what is, what I've heard you term as scientism, it's something that I'm really trying to getting to the point where I'm like, I can't just accept it. So I'm applying in a sense, also applying like the apophatic approach
Right.
to reintegrating an understanding of that. And so I somewhat wanted to ask you like what your perspective on that is in particular with those two, what are obvious to me and it's an obvious dialectic. It's like you either have flat earth or globe earth. And I'm at this point, I'm like, what if it's not exactly either? What if what we're looking up at the sky isn't exactly, oh, this is this many billion light years away? Because those are things that we just have to trust that, you know, that this person said because they had this inner vision of an understanding of a black hole. And it's like, okay, well, that's like a priest class kind of saying, well, this is what it is. And that's what you have to accept it as.
There certainly are elements to accepted science like that, you know, that a lot of people will take on faith. However, there are scientific methodologies that can help us to really discover how things do work and the nature of them. And that is what the Trivium process, when you follow it, will unfold. It will unfold the ability to discern that truth. And I do happen to agree that the whole flat earth thing is a psyop. I've talked about that on some interviews. And the reason I came to that conclusion is because of applying scientific methodology through the Trivium process outside of what I would call scientism or the scientism community. Because NASA lies and because other scientific institutions lie doesn't necessarily mean that you throw the scientific methodology in the garbage bin, so to speak. Okay, there are methods of truth discovery, okay, that are you can look at these are epistemological approaches. How do we know the things that we come to know? What are the methodologies of discovery, of truth discovery? And upon examination of some of the claims and models, you can certainly see that these are either outright fabrications or are just done through a limited understanding of scientific principles and methods that then people latch onto in their lack of understanding of how it really works, and then say, well, if I don't really understand how it works, no one else can, or they're lying. And I'll probably do a whole show on PSYOPs. I have a whole presentation planned called PSYOPs that I'm going to probably deliver here in Philadelphia at some future point. But I want to do some very simple experimentation that anybody can do, that many other researchers have done, to lay the whole, flat earth PSYOP down. I've basically been stalked by a lot of them, digitally stalked, literally. To a point where I had to come out in a hard-nosed way and say, if this is your approach, I don't want to be associated with it. I'm all for talking about things. I am all for attempting to apply truth discovery methods to things, and people should do that for themselves. So if you're in a position where you're trying to discern the truth, wonderful. Okay, when somebody comes to me and says your conclusions and your methods that you've used are completely wrong just because someone else who has used them or claimed to use them is lying, and that makes you some kind of a disinformation agent, it's like, Jack, you don't know anything about me or who I am at all. It's like, and then they'll send me bitter emails saying that if you don't talk about this, I got an email saying, literally, said, fuck natural law as long as you don't talk about the truth about flat earth. That's where the mindset of some people are at, that they're that, religious when it comes to this. That it's a religious mindset, really, is what I've discovered it to be. I've, through my own delving into deeply this PSYOP, I have come to see that there's really only two words that it all comes down to in the minds of the people that are rigid flat earth religionists, and that's because God. And again, you could look into natural law and say, I, Mark Passio, am attributing natural law to a creative force in the universe or God, and that is true. Okay, but to say I need a model of our planet that contradicts observable scientific methodology, just to say God exists is ridiculous. I mean, it's a religious, it's something that I think a lot of religious people cling on to because they want to fight creationists and atheists with it. That's why the PSYOP has been so successful, because there's a whole lot of religious people in the world, and there's still a whole lot of religious thinking in the world. And when you approach people like that and say, hey, you want the ultimate checkmate that you could, if you get people to believe in, they automatically have to accept that God did it, look into this flat earth stuff. And because they don't have the scientific background to refute a lot of the claims of the models that are presented, then they basically graft onto it because of their religious faith. And then they make other legitimate researchers who are really trying to explain how mind control and the occult and methodologies of social manipulation and social engineering are really working in the world, and just make them look bad. You know, it's a guilt by association complex that is applied. This is the PSYOP strategy. And too many people are not sophisticated enough to understand it. And I'm not going to make it a issue, a big thing. I'm answering your question about it. But definitely not going to get into long-winded discussions and, taking calls on this topic like a regular basis. I will answer what I feel about it in a formalized way when I present my PSYOPs presentation. And I'll show you some basic, very simple refutations of the flat earth model, which we could do here on What on Earth is Happening one day too. I was thinking of even asking Vinny Eastwood, who I just did a really awesome interview on, where he has some really great pertinent questions about the great work and about the shadow work that we need to do upon ourselves to conduct the first part of the great work, which is in getting ourselves into a good position to help others by confronting the unliked aspects of ourselves. In this interview, Vinny's from New Zealand. I think he's from Auckland, New Zealand, if I'm not mistaken. And, that's way down in the southern hemisphere. So we could do some great experiments that a lot of flat earthers in their model, don't get around to doing because we're up here in the northern hemisphere. And I think it would be very enlightening for people to see. So maybe I'll approach him and ask him if he'd be interested in doing some of that. And we could play some of the results here on What on Earth is Happening in video format. So maybe look for that in the future. So great call. I appreciate that. Let's go to another caller. Let's move to, Takaru 92. Takaru 92, you're live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome.
Hello.
Yes.
Hi. My question is, what is your opinion on karma or the principle of, what is your opinion on karma or divine retribution in relation to the principle of cause and effect?
Yes.
And also, do you believe that, I know it's a very simplistic way of saying the word, but do you believe that people will eventually receive justice from God or natural law or whatever, what you want to call it?
Yes, this
cause them harm.
This is everything that I talk about in natural law, and natural law is karma. So I accept karma as an existent law in the universe. Many people have called natural law karmic law or simply karma. It's an Eastern tradition word that basically comes from some of the Indus Valley traditions and the Far Eastern traditions. That is about what consequences occur when we perform certain behaviors. And the consequences are inescapable. There are always consequences. Consequences happen upon our acting, okay? So we take in information, we make a judgment with our processing center of our mind, and hopefully it's in a holistic way if we're going to do it right. And then we behave. We come to a conclusion about what is correct or appropriate behavior, and then we do our best to carry that out. Now, if we do that where our alignments, our perceptions are in alignment with truth, we will behave rightly. We will behave within the laws of right and wrong, meaning we will perform rights. Okay, we will act in right, which means that we do actions that do not cause harm to other sentient beings. When we do that, we'll have a consequence or a result in the world. Okay, this is how natural law operates. Okay, we're actually co-creating it in the aggregate sense, meaning that as a whole society makes these correct judgments that either conform to natural law or go against it, we will have a series of consequences that will be brought to us in our entire society, and then the society will have to live in that state of being. Okay, so the proof of it, the existence of this, is the observability of the condition. Okay, you are looking at the condition being a state of slavery. So how did that condition get there? It's not a natural state. It's something that was created. It's something that was generated. The condition was generated by the behavior. And this is how karma or natural law work. And that's why it's so important to get the knowledge, because what are you really, the knowledge that you're acting upon is the knowledge of conscience. Conscience is knowledge. Conscience means science. The word science in English comes from the Latin verb scio, S-C-I-O. Sciere is the infinitive form, okay? So sciere in Latin means to know or to understand. And con is a prefix in Latin that means together or with, okay? So to know together, to know with everyone else, that's what conscience is. It's common sense knowledge. It's the common sense knowledge of what right and wrong are. And unfortunately, we don't have that common sense knowledge, okay? So this is my take on karma. This is what I have understood natural law to be. Okay, when we behave within common sense boundaries of right and wrong, meaning we engage in rights and we do that in the aggregate of our whole society, we become and remain free. When we oppose natural law, when we go against the laws of karma, and we behave wrongly, meaning we are taking actions that do cause harm to other beings, and we do that in the aggregate in any society, we become and remain enslaved. Those are the laws of cause and effect. Those are the laws of karma. Those are the laws of consequence. That is what natural law is and how it operates. And that's the knowledge that we have to get out there into people's hands and get them to accept as being true and existing in the universe. Those laws exist. They are extant in the universe. They exist and are real. And most people will deny their existence because they're not actually looking at the condition and then looking at the underlying causal factors of what generated it. They believe that there is some, there's not a causal relationship there. Okay, they want to look at this as an example that correlation does not equate to causality, and in this case it does. Okay, the correlation of behavior, whether it is in harmony or in opposition to natural law, does correlate to the causal. It's the causal relationship of the effect that we get in the real world. Meaning, are we enslaved or are we free? Okay, and this is what people have to ultimately understand, and this is the knowledge that I'm trying to get people to understand and share with people in the world, because that's the only way we're going to understand how an entire society experiences freedom or slavery. That's how it works. So thank you for that call on karma, and I would just suggest, if you're not already familiar with it, watching my entire natural law seminar, because that explains it in more detail. All right, let's see, who else do we have? Let's go to Brandon. Last name is, let me see, Brandon Bonanza. You're live on What on Earth is Happening. Welcome, Brandon.
Hey, Mark. How you doing?
I'm doing well. What do you have for us here today?
Awesome. I came across you and all your work in the past couple of weeks, and it's crazy how synchronous things are. Because in the past few years, I've been getting really deep into meditation and into some of the Eastern religions. And I started to see how they're really related to Christianity. Mm-hmm. And I started to see how the theme behind them was basically the same thing. And on the other hand, I've started to get in the past few years deep into basically like anarchy, like an ANCAP. And now I kind of realize that it doesn't really matter. Once you achieve the anarchy, things are just going to happen the way they are, so you don't have to add any hyphens to it.
Yeah, that's the natural state of existence that we need to get back to.
Exactly. I love it. Yeah. And so I had these thoughts permeating in my mind, and I'm thinking to myself, like, how am I going to get these ANCAPs to think about spirituality, and how am I going to get these people who are nailing it in spirituality to think about anarchy? And then
this is what my whole presentation at Anarchapulco is going to be on. That's the entire premise of the presentation.
Great. So it was so great to come across somebody because quick background on me, I do stand-up comedy. I've been doing it for about 5 years. I have a podcast, I have a blog, I'm a DJ. That's also how I support myself. So
nice.
I've been trying to work this all into an existence. So seeing you is a really great I guess I could say. So it gives me an idea. And then, so I just want to say that that's great. And the question I have for you is,
sure.
So I just watched your Waking Up, the Cosmic
Abandonment.
Great work. So I was thinking, because I was always into Ancient Aliens and Graham Hancock specifically. I got deep into his work, and I love the idea of lost civilization. So my question to you is, do you think that it's possible that the Anunnaki, or the people who they or represented as the Anunnaki, that it could actually have been just humans that were more advanced, that were living here before, that may have survived another cataclysm?
Absolutely,
or just had this information.
Yes, without a doubt, that's a theory, because if they became technologically advanced enough, they could appear to us as visitors from elsewhere, from the sky, from other planets, from other dimensions. No doubt about it that I keep that in the realm of possibility. And who knows, they could have gone and seeded other planets. They could have traveled to other planets and then returned from other planets, or even dimensions, or, traveled through wormholes in space, etc. There are so many possibilities, but as I've always said, and my contention has always been, it doesn't matter who they are, where they are from. The way of stopping this slavery is the same. It is not complying with their commands that are arbitrary commands of compliance of behavior, when they don't have the authority to command us to behave in those ways. We have to act rightly because it is the right way to behave, and stop thinking that we can create this system of violence and enslavement calling it government euphemistically, and just give people rights that they don't have, to delegate rights, to other people to do things that they don't have the right to do. It's a nonsensical, non-logical way of operating in the world, and the solution is the same no matter what. It's not to comply with them no matter what they are capable of doing to us. That's why there are states of being that are worse than death. Even if a civilization was so powerful that they could wipe out another civilization, let's say from the orbit of the planet or something like that, or from another planet even, I would say I would fear the consequences of living in total opposition to the laws of morality far more than I would by being destroyed by other beings. Personally, those consequences are far beyond losing one's existence physically in the flesh, as far as I'm concerned. But most people, because they haven't studied consciousness from any perspective, really, whether it be Eastern tradition or more recent Western mystery tradition, occult science, they haven't lost that fear of death. They are still in this existential doubt of what consciousness or spirit is. And that's why the spirituality component is so powerful. It's why I started with that in my work. My earliest work goes into consciousness, pure and simple, and who we are ultimately at the ultimate level of existence, or you could say the lowest level of existence that everything else is built upon and grows out of. And that's why I propose that as the ultimate solution. You have to know who you are before you know anything about the enemy. The enemy you have to know about, but you have to know who you are first and foremost. You have to know, where you ultimately come from. And if you understand that from the universal spiritual perspective of consciousness, then no one can control you at any level after that. All they can do is destroy the flesh that consciousness is. It's a vehicle for. So that's why I think studying consciousness studies and traditions are so powerful in getting us out of that existential fear of death, because that's what gets us not to comply with these order followers and their the order givers that are telling them to go out and do these violent behaviors. we will get out of that fear of complying with them and just say no, use the lost word, and it doesn't matter what they do. I mean, at the same time, I would say we also have the right to physically defend ourselves in the physical domain. So we have that option on the table. Plus, we should understand that no matter what happens, even if we are physically destroyed in this confrontation, our consciousness is not destroyed, and what happens here matters. And that's the spiritual component that's lacking in a lot of the anarchist community. You're right. It's too bad it works the other way as well, where in the so-called New Age or spiritual circles, they don't get the anarchy part,
Yeah, they're too busy worried that Trump got elected, and that's like choking up the whole thing. They're crying about all these things. And I'm like, hey, guys, people were dying before and after Trump was elected from wars. It's like,
that's right.
We need to get on board. And the thing with the mind control, I find that as soon as they could get you out of the present moment, this conditioning from school, from TV, whatever it is, it gets you out of the present moment. And that's when their mind control really takes hold, because if you're lost in the past, or if you're lost in the future, they have you, because then you're lying to yourself. You're just fantasizing. And it's amazing. It's something that breakthrough I just had this week, and I'm trying to enunciate it to some people I know. And
I'm telling you, you're going to love Anarchy in the Occult Part 2, because these are the things I touch on. Unfortunately, I only have about 45 minutes to deliver it, so it'll be sort of a short to medium layout format presentation. But at some point, I'll probably maybe give an extended version of the whole Anarchy in the Occult series, maybe here on What on Earth is Happening, and do a longer 3-hour or even multi-part series on it. So that could be a future show as well. And I think you'll really get a lot from it, because it really talks about those methods of initiation that we really have to, delve into to understand, like, how does this work? How do we really do it upon ourselves? Is it a stepwise procedure? Do we go in order? Do we do it all at the same time? And the steps of occult initiation are so powerful and important when it comes to that, and understanding like what these individuals who brought us these methodologies of discovery of self and shadow work and then truth discovery methods, what they had to do to preserve that type of learning and knowledge. I mean, I just watched a pretty interesting allegorical movie called As Above, So Below, which is about alchemy. And it showed in the movie something that they actually did do in the past in mystery tradition schools, which it's very appropriate, because we were talking about how much our ancestors had to go through to secure a lot of the knowledge that you will find on a device like the A.R.K, and proliferate it into the world and preserve it, even through exceedingly draconian times where they could have been killed for even having it or speaking about it. But in this movie, there's a scene where they have to swim underneath a stone passageway that is filled with water to get out to the other side, where they then come up and can breathe the air again. And it's like they actually did this in the ancient world. They would have like a small wading pool, or maybe even a medium-sized one, and they'd put a stone lintel underneath, like an archway in it. You had to swim under that and then come out the other side, to breathe. And if you failed, you could drown. If you got stuck or failed, and didn't do it, you could drown. That's how much somebody wanted the knowledge of these mystery school traditions, that they would put their life on the line to, do this physical, challenge to prove themselves, prove how much they wanted it. It's like that old adage that you have to want it as much as you want air to breathe in your next breath. If air were cut off from you and you were dying from lack of oxygen, how much would you want air? That's how much you need to want this knowledge, because our very life does hinge upon it, believe it or not. All right, let's see, who else do we have? Let's go to Joshka. Joshka, you're live on What on Earth is Happening.
Hi, Mark. Can you hear me?
I can, loud and clear.
So, great. So I think a theme of this show has been about literacy and reading and writing and passing on information that we learn.
Absolutely.
So one big concern that I have is that in recent years, I keep reading news about different school districts who are no longer teaching kids how to write in longhand. So I think we're going to have generations of kids growing up who can't read the old texts, in which was,
because
they
they're
were all in
texting so
script.
much. They're texting with their
Right.
thumbs so much.
They're not
Yeah,
going to be able to
I
read
believe
script. It's going to become like Greek to them.
That's very disconcerting. Yeah, that's extremely worrisome, and I agree that's the place that we may be in with how the short attention spans that cell phones, induce. That may be the path that they're putting our young ones upon.
Right, but I think it's very important because great documents like the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, all those original texts that we can look at firsthand, we can see what the founders wrote. That's going to be all unintelligible to future generations, and they're going to need basically translators or scribes to tell them what those documents say.
Certainly, if we let their cell phones and tablets be their parents, and that we continue to let the outcome-based educational indoctrination system be their guide toward what would be considered true education. We have to get them to understand the Trivium method and get them back onto a classical liberal arts education methodology, and that's something that is something that people need to do as part of conscious parenting. Josh, thank you so much for the call.
Thanks.
Great. All the callers, phenomenal today. That's all the time we have for this edition, folks. You've been watching What on Earth is Happening. We'll be back February 24th, Sunday, February 24th. I'm your host, Mark Passio, and government is slavery. We'll see you soon.